Hello everybody and welcome to another Nonsense Retrospective. I'm your host as always Rick, and joining me equally as always is Devon.
Hello.
And today, we're doing a bit of a sequel today. We're talking about Amphibia again, but before we get into that, let's start with the time-honoured tradition of the Nonsense Asinine Hypotheticals. And do you have one for me today?
I do. Kingdom Hearts 4 has been confirmed.
Yeah!
You get given the writer's pen, as it were, to put Amphibia as a world in Kingdom Hearts 4. Now, I know you've not played Kingdom Hearts, or not played much of it anyway, but do you know the general gist of how a world works?
Like, you got a hub bit and you go out from it, right?
Not really, no.
And you've got a single person from the series that can join your party.
That bit's correct. It's not really a hub as much as, like, they'll take a snapshot. I'm going by Kingdom Hearts 1 logic, admittedly. Kingdom Hearts 2 is a different beast, and Kingdom Hearts 3 is weird. But you take basically a snapshot from the film, and the entire level revolves around that. So, for example, with Halloween Town, it's just Halloween Town. At one moment, you go off and you do the Oogie Boogie boss fight, but that's about it.
Sure.
So, like, you take one area and one conflict. You condense that into your version of the world for the Kingdom Hearts level. So, how do you do that for Amphibia?
I think for Amphibia, it would actually be the Season 1 finale. Like, it's kind of the battle for Wartwood, but it's all the Wartwood residents in the Toad Tower. So, like a pseudo stealth level where you can like go through, beat up some toads, and then have a final boss battle with Sasha.
Well, I get what you're saying. Stealth isn't really a thing in Kingdom Hearts.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like a pseudo stealth level.
No, I don't know what you mean. I want you to Kingdom Hearts flavor it, not just video game flavor it.
Okie dokie. You distract the toads by throwing Donald out into the world, and they have an existential crisis that a duck, which should be able to eat almost any tadpole of any of the amphibians, is now here, and they have to deal with it.
Well, here's the thing, because they established very early on in Kingdom Hearts 1 that Donald Duck has camouflage magic, which is why they always get goofy costumes whenever they go to different worlds, because it automatically blends you into the world.
Okie dokie. Does it ever malfunction?
No.
Okay, so it wouldn't accidentally turn them into newts, and then newts going around the Toad Tower in the Frog Siege.
Well, no, but like if the magic thought that their best camouflage would be newts, seeing as they're clearly the top of the hierarchy at that point, then there's no reason why the characters wouldn't take the form of newts. Like, I'm pretty sure Sora would probably take the form of a frog minimum.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, well, actually, between the three, they could have one of each very easily.
They could. They do that in the Little Mermaid level.
Yeah, Goofy being the tall one, he can be a newt. Donald being the odd one out, he can be a toad. And Sora being the hero can be a frog.
Well, considering Sora's moveset, you could give Sprig a Keyblade and you wouldn't know the difference, I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a young Yoda.
I mean, yeah, Yoda was once described by, I think, Johnny Vegas as a 9 million year old frog on Ket.
But he has to ration his drugs now. But yeah, he doesn't have as much cartilage left. But yeah, I think the Toad Tower part would actually be a decent snapshot into the series. I think doing the final battles would be a bit too spoilery, you know? Like, it's still a finale, but the final battle has a bit more baggage.
But it's odd, really, because I've been thinking about this for a while. And,
sure.
Well, I say a while, about 3 days. And I actually entirely agree. If you're going to put if you're going to do Amphibia in Kingdom Hearts, you do Season 1 Endgame. You have Grime or Sasha be the villain, and you work from that. There is too much setup involved to establish the actual overarching conflict in a single Kingdom Hearts level.
Yeah, like you can do a double team as well, Sasha and Grime, and you team up with Anne, and therefore it's a 2v2, and therefore it's fair. The
only problem there is it would probably lean more towards Grime being the villain, because Season 1 Grime is a piece of shit. There's no beating around the bush there, and the end boss of pretty much every Kingdom Hearts level, at least in Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 3 to a certain degree, is a big fuck off Heartless that is summoned by the villain because they're evil and they can kind of control it, but not really.
Yeah, someone who's an actual heel, at least in that point in time in the story. Like Pete.
Well, Pete never actually summons a big fuck off Heartless. Like, he summons the shitlings, but kind of anyone can do that, let's be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's that weird thing where Pete never goes full heel. Like, he's a heel because he doesn't like Mickey Mouse, but he's not a heel in that he wants to commit genocide.
Okay, so he's an ankle.
I guess. For a second now, I thought you were being clever and calling him an angry uncle, but no, you just mean ankle because it's near the heel. So that's an embarrassing moment I'm not going to live down anytime soon in my dreams. But But I think you could do something cool, like have Wartwood be the intro and it be attacked by Heartless, and then move on to Toad Tower, as you say, and Big Boss Grime. You could have so much fun with just a bunch of different amphibian flavored Heartless.
Yeah, totally. And also, he might even fire the sympathetic toads like Braddock and the other one whose name escapes me, and he replaces them with Heartless because they're more efficient, and they kind of join your team as well.
Yeah, that could work. A very interesting thing they did in Kingdom Hearts 3, as opposed to Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 to a certain extent, is you could have more than one additional party member.
Okay.
And they would fight with you full stop. You wouldn't have to... In Kingdom Hearts 1, it was literally FF logic of, you got 3 party members. If you want Tarzan in your party, you got to boot off Donald or Goofy.
Yeah.
But in Kingdom Hearts 3, no, you just have an extra party member for that stage, and pretty much every stage had one at that point. But like the Monsters Inc. level, you had Sully and Mike. The Toy Story level, you had Buzz and Woody, instead of, just one or the other.
Fair enough.
And it would be a really cool touch if, like, at the end, when you revisit the stage, Sasha has a semi-face turn a bit early, admittedly, and you have both teaming up with you until, whenever you head back. Just a thought.
Yeah. Like, it would be really neat to have that, because seeing Grime as an actual villain who's willing to tear down the world rather than someone who just wants to conquer a little bit because, he sees himself as at that point on the food chain might actually be enough to trigger Sasha into having an early face turn anyway, so it does track,
Yeah, but it's also just a matter of moving story elements to suit Kingdom Hearts bullshit fucking formula.
Yeah, that and the kids have iPads. If they see Donald Duck coming and being against a villain, they're like, yeah, maybe we should side with Donald Duck.
But again, Donald won't look like Donald.
Okay, yeah, sure. But he still sounds like him.
Yeah.
You see someone who looks a little bit like someone who could be in your world, and they talk completely incomprehensible duck language. You're like, oh, okay.
Hey, now, he is cohesive.
Yeah. With subtitles, he is, at least.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've hammered on a bit long about that fantasy booking. I know I was giving you some shit, but it's one of those where you got to fit to that Kingdom Hearts formula, son. That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't blame you. But yeah, the one that I have for you is, we've seen Amphibia work with amphibians. Do you think a similar show could work with another subcategory of animals, and if so, which one would you choose?
I mean, the amount of movies, granted not series, but movies that have just been, oh look, it's ants, it's Bugs Life. Like, insects are an endless fucking source for this type of thing, if you get me.
Yeah, so are you going with insects?
Well, insects is probably a bit too broad, but, if you want to do it literally like Amphibia, like do arachnophobia, but good, like, because that gives you spiders, scorpions, and crabs.
Yep. Are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs? Indeed.
Oh, no. That good impression does not rectify the hate I feel.
Yeah, are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs?
In case you couldn't tell, Rick is the voice guy.
Yeah, let's stop now.
But yeah, if I was pinned into a corner, it would definitely be that. But like, Amphibia is not unique for doing this.
It's not, absolutely. But like, it's one of those where I feel it's unique in how sympathetically it portrays creatures that are normally kind of abhorrent to normal people.
Well, I think the only reason why toads aren't looked down upon so much in our generation is our generation was semi-brought up by Harry Potter and Neville had a toad.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those where amphibians in general get the short end of the stick because they're not as cool as reptiles, but they're gross still.
Yeah, they're slimy. They're slimier than reptiles, and yet they can still swim a bit like fish. And if you've ever bonded with a fish, then you're on a different level to most other people.
You can absolutely bond with a fish because I think I've said this before on the podcast. There's a specific type of cichlid called, can't remember the scientific name, but everyone calls them Oscars, and they are, I shit you not, they're just dogs in fish bodies.
Yeah, you can like diddle your fingers in the water and they'll just pop out for a pet.
Well, like
not pop out, but pop up.
When I was a kid, we had a really big fish tank. I'm talking like 6-8 feet. It took up a wall. It wasn't very tall, but it was long, and we had an Oscar, and if you walked up and down the tank, he would follow you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I think I've also said it on the podcast before, but we had sterlets, which are little tiny sturgeons, and yeah, if you diddle your fingers, they'd come up for a stroke.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which was cute.
Yeah, as cute as fish can be, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, again, this formula could work for anything, but I think you've got to steer away from mammals and avians as well.
Yeah, birds are a weird one where they can be made sympathetic, they can be made cute, like a lot of them are already cute, but the thing is they don't have fingers, and they don't have something that you can realistically make into fingers without turning it into a complete cartoon, you know? And I think the only mammals that I think would work with this, that aren't just straight up furries, is if you just narrow it down to marsupials.
Even then, I don't think... I think because they're so... such companion animals already, that it wouldn't really give you the same vibe as the Amphibia formula has managed to make us feel with frogs, newts, and toads. And olms, I guess.
Yeah. Olms right at the end.
Gun to head, I'd definitely go for arachnids, because you got three main classifications that you can go for. Like, I think certain breeds of mites are also technically arachnids, but whatever. Those are gross. We don't like those.
But yeah, happy with that. So yeah, we'll go into the meat and two veg of the main thing, which is Amphibia Season 3. Last time we talked about Season 1 and 2 as a general whole, and now we've finally finished Season 3 as of, this week, I believe?
Yeah, the finale was this past Saturday. And this is coming out tomorrow as of recording, so it's not even been a week since it came out, so...
Yeah. We're striking while the iron is hot as best as we can.
Yes. One very quick note, because I've written it in our sort of little guidelines so we know vaguely what we're talking about and stay on topic. Before the final episodes, like literally, what's the name of the second last one? I think it's called All In. No, sorry, The Hardest Thing. It is All In. Oops.
Yeah, The Hardest Thing's the last one, yeah.
Yeah, I scrolled down too far. But yes, just before All In, Matt Braley did an interview. Can't remember who it was for, but I saw loads of snippets coming up about it on the Reddit. And the one big takeaway was he said that the relationship between the girls, Arn, Sasha, and Marcy, would remain platonic as far as the show's concerned. Not because he was against anything, quite the opposite, in fact. He didn't want to ruin anyone's fan canons, so no matter which way you shipped them, it would still work.
Yeah, he didn't want to sink any ships on his own.
Pretty much. No, he's no Uncle Grandpa.
No. Yeah. But yeah, normally when we talk about a previous experience, well, you've got an entire podcast for that if you're interested.
And if you really want to, you can watch Rick's very first exposure to Amphibia, because I made him watch it for the podcast as a bonus episode. Not a bonus episode, as a sick day episode.
In fact, all of them are being pre-recorded, none of them are live.
Yes, you're technically correct for a review, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. The review was pre-recorded, and I went to look at the retrospective, and that was also a pre-record.
Wait, was it?
Yeah.
No.
It might have just been in the days where we did a pre-record, you know?
Maybe, because we were long. That was a long episode.
Yeah. I think it was before the live reacts was the thing.
You keep talking. I'm going on YouTube.
But yeah, like Devon said, he wanted to keep the relationships platonic, partly because there are other characters in the universe as well. Like, you could say the blue-haired helpful girl could be someone's mentor later on, and, you know, when people are all adults, that might go a little bit further, you know?
Rick, you are absolutely full of shit.
Am I full of shit?
Yeah, Nonsense Retrospective, Amphibia Season 1 and 2, 1 hour 46. It's got our faces on it, so it was not a pre-record.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm flipping you the proverbial middle finger with a shit-eating grin on my face.
Alrighty.
Sorry, that needed to be said.
I went to the wrong one.
You went to the wrong one.
Yeah, I went to the wrong Amphibia episode. The fact that we've got 3 of them now should show everyone that we do actually have a lot of affection for this show.
Yeah, they're Sandy Owl House.
Yes, absolutely. 2 things that are airing their final seasons right now. Amphibia obviously is finished. Owl House doesn't have a lot to go before they have future Armoritis and get the movie finale treatment.
God damn it! I don't want to dwell on it because that's going to get its own retro. But that makes me angry.
That makes me feel angry. But yeah, we start episode 1 of season 3, hot on the heels of the finale of season 2. If you remember, in the finale of season 2, we got the preview of what the credits were going to look like.
Yes.
And yeah, they made the same theme tune, like more upbeat. And the main thing that ties the two together is Anne and Sprig jumping from umbrella to umbrella rather than from mushroom to mushroom.
And there was a lot of love put in these opening credits.
Yeah. I never skipped the credits in season 3.
Oh, I did all the time.
The opening credits, at least.
Yeah, opening credits, I always skip them. I've seen it once, I don't need to see it again.
Well...
Yeah. Come at me, anime fans!
It puts me in nostalgia mode.
That's fine. mean, like, again, going back to when I forced you to watch Amphibia episode 1 for the podcast, I think my ending notes was, I remember watching this and not being that whelmed, but watching it back again after watching all the way to the end of season 2, it feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a lot of nostalgia from these openings when you've got a lot of, like, commitment and, you've already got your own nostalgia. You built it up already. You've had it curated for you. But yeah, they go to the human world. They go to Anne's parents' house.
Oh, yeah, get ready for that for the entirety of the podcast, me saying Arn instead of Han. Because Persona 5 has fucking ruined me.
Arn to Karma Key. Yeah.
Ugh.
And, oh yeah, just in case you didn't realise, we're gonna be spoilers all the way.
Oh, if you are not finished Amphibia, do not watch this episode yet.
Like, even just right now, the fact that, yeah, this is after season 2, we're talking about everything. Like, it's okay to know that they go to Earth, maybe.
Yeah. But I will say one thing negative about this first episode.
Yeah?
Anne really brushes off what just happened very quickly.
Yeah, she's going super hard on getting back to normal life, and yet also kind of realises that she needs to get the Plantars back home.
No, I'm not even on about that. I mean, she literally just watched Marcy gets stabbed through the back and potentially dead. Now, we as viewers know that she's fine because Andreas puts her in the pod. Anne doesn't know shit.
Yeah, we as viewers also know she's fine because we see her in the opening credits in the pod, and later on we see the Darcy version.
And
Anne just goes, yeah, she's totally fine.
Yeah, which, I don't know, it might be testament to her character, I guess. That might be part of how she ticks, and to an extent, she is that kind of person. But that seems like a bit of a... I don't know, man. I don't think I'm as close to you as Anne is close to Marcy. And yet, I'd still probably pause my life for a couple of days if I realised you got stabbed.
Yep.
Not to say we're not friends, by the way.
Oh, like physically close as well. Like, we're a country away. So yeah, it would be somewhat of a stopping point, as you say, in either of our lives if the other one was really seriously catastrophically wounded.
I mean, shit, case in point, we've both got loved ones who are being hospitalised momentarily, operations that aren't big risks, but in both cases we're making adjustments at the very minimum of the podcast and recording schedules to be like, okay, it's going to be rough to do this on that day, so let's just not.
Yeah, like case in point, this one is pre-recorded, but partially because of we're going to pre-record something else tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we got to pre-record something else, and we didn't want to fuck with live stream times, which might get permanently changed because people are being weird. Yeah. Neither of us two people related to us.
Yeah, the universe is revolving around us.
Yeah, improvise, adapt, overcome. Isn't that what the fucking SAS say?
Yeah. But yeah, there's a frog Terminator.
Yeah. Boy, does this fucking season, if you didn't get it already, hammer home the fact that everyone who works on this show is a big fucking nerd.
Yep. So yeah, the Mecha Stealth Toad is pursuing Anne and the Plantars throughout the entirety of the first half of season 1. That's not the first half of season 3.
I did that all the time throughout my notes.
Yeah. And it's only that Anne can beat this thing back and damage it that actually puts it on a timer and lets it, retreat believably, because until then, it's relentless.
Yeah.
It will not stop.
Well, actually, we got a couple of caveats here, because the Frog Terminator's got 3 orders. One is kill Anne. Yep. 2, which is the one that actually gives Anne a fighting chance, is they have been explicitly instructed not to be seen.
Yes.
If that was not one of its orders, Anne would be fucked, because she does not have control of her powers yet.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, the don't be seen thing is literally the one hamstring to the entire order.
Yeah, until episode 5. But also, the 3rd order, get book 4 of the Harry Potter knockoff, because Andreas got really hooked on them because of Marcy.
Yep.
And if I recall correctly, just before he gets sent on self-destruct mode, he reveals the book that he got for Andreas, and Andreas is like, "That's book 3! I've read book 3!" Man,
wouldn't it have been so cute?
Fucking hell. I love Keith David so much.
Yeah, wouldn't it have been so cute if he'd found Azura the Good Witch instead?
That would have been a nice little nod. But mind you, there's theories everywhere on both the Amphibia and the Our House subreddits of, because multiverse exists in both TOH and Amphibia, there's a good possibility that there can be crossovers without any consequences. Fuck, we had a Gravity Falls crossover in Amphibia.
There was a Gravity Falls crossover in Rick and Morty.
Is that the most recent season? Because I've not seen seen that.
Oh, it was really early on. They threw something into a portal in Gravity Falls and it just came out in Rick and Morty. Like,
okay, but you have to have watched Gravity Falls. I've not.
Okay, yeah.
Like, that's a subtle nod, whereas the Amphibia had a whole fucking 10-minute half episode of, I know that character because I've seen all the memes.
The whole episode of Gravity Falls Jolters just in this world, yeah. But yeah, Anne does get to activate her Super Saiyan powers.
Yeah.
And it sets the tone for, even if she does do it, she's going to be knackered later, which is a good reason to not do it all the time and not just break every single encounter just by activating the win button.
It's also the start of the common thread of this show is anime as fuck.
Yes.
Very specifically shonen.
Yeah.
Very in typical good guy fashion, Anne's powers don't manifest when she is nearly brutally murdered by the Frog Terminator, but immediately spark when he even hints at threatening the Plantars.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about protection, not about personal power.
Which, come to think of it, is very much a martial artist's mantra, assuming they're a proper one, that goes all in on the mantras and spiritual side of martial arts.
Yeah. The art of martial art.
Yeah.
The whole thing of, I'll always bring this up, of Jackie Chan saying, always know how not to really permanently hurt someone, because if you do, you'll never be happy for the rest of your life.
That's fair. Weirdly enough, my tattooist, he does Tai Chi.
Okay.
But he does the martial arts side of Tai Chi as well as the meditation.
Okay.
And he, hey, guess what? If you're being tattooed by someone for a couple of hours, you either talk or you're going to be miserable. He talks a lot about that sort of stuff, and it's mostly like, hey, if you're a proper martial artist, you don't attack first.
Oh, totally.
Stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, digression aside.
Yeah. The thing that we did kind of gloss over in the episode 1 bit is that they've moved in with Anne's family.
Yes.
The family know that it's revealed very early on that they are not humans. That they're frogs.
Well, immediately to the family, because they haven't got disguises yet.
Oh no. And Hot Pop gets his disguise of a little piece of rubber, chewing gum or something, that he pokes holes in to make it look like a nose. It doesn't look very convincing to the viewer, but then we find someone later on in the show that looks exactly like that.
To be fair, he also wears glasses.
Yeah, he does.
Which explains his big, bulgy, frog-like eyes.
Yeah, he wears glasses, partially... I think he has the nose, so the glasses can perch on something.
Yeah, frogs don't have noses. Unless you're Froppy, and oh god,
yeah,
Froppy's adorable.
Yeah, she is. But yeah, the family are very accepting of them. Then the trip out to the store where they get attacked by the Toadinator is pretty much their first time outside the house. Sorry.
Yeah, for the Plantars.
Yeah.
And Anne, I guess.
Well, yeah, because Anne needs to keep an eye on them to make sure they don't go off into the universe, which they keep threatening to do.
Yeah, well, we'll address that in episode 2. But yeah, I also did like how Anne showed them the holy grail of foods, which is noodles from the food court.
Yeah. They're like worms, but there's so many of them, and you can slurp them.
And they don't fight back.
Yeah.
I do remember when the Frog Terminator first encountered them was with the noodles, and he smashed the table and everyone fled. And when they fled, the guy serving at the counter turns back around and goes, "Man, people really like those noodles," as he picks up a mop and bucket.
Like, implying this is not an uncommon occurrence.
Yeah.
People literally flipping tables over noodles.
Yeah. Shall we move on to episode 2?
Yeah, let's shall.
So episode 2 is our first that is split in 2, which is the traditional format of Amphibia. We've got Hop Till You Drop and we've got Turning Point.
So the Hop Till You Drop is like training the Plantars, as you say, not to just buzz off into the universe and just reveal everything to everyone straight away.
Yeah, I did like, they couldn't have Polly and Sprig team up to be their regular human size, so they split them up. And how do you get away with that? Well, Polly's a toddler.
Yep. Because she's gotten her feet now.
Yeah.
So she can just waddle around. I think, isn't this the episode where she wanders into a class on Thai?
No. That's episode 4? Yeah, episode 4.
Yeah. Fair. Oh, yeah, because it's the
one where they all do the Thai stuff, which is very cool, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, it's really cute.
There's a load of toddlers, and I think it's at a Build-A-Bear workshop, and someone takes something off her, and that's the first point where she's like, "I want to beat this toddler to death," and we've all been there.
Yeah.
Well, not
ideally
quite.
when you are a toddler, but sometimes life gets away from you. Sometimes your emotions run high.
Yeah. And and that's why I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
No, don't beat children.
Don't punch a baby.
We're joking, but that's actually a very horrible thing to do. Please don't.
Yeah, don't punch a baby. Like, they're not punching bags.
Yeah, right. They're definitely not. Yeah, Spriggs' task is not to touch anything, and he is positioned by a bunch of art installations. And Hot Pop needs to learn not to get scammed, aka accepting a ton of free things. So she sends him down like Hawker's Alley.
Yeah.
They all fail miserably, as you'd expect, partly because Anne gets distracted by an old schoolmate.
Yeah. So she's just as much at fault because she's easy to distract.
She kind of breaks down to the Plantars at the end, where she's like, damn it, I can't protect you all the time because this and that. And the Plantars just laugh, and Hot Pop says, do you not remember how bad it was for you in Amphibia when you first came here? And I think we get a brief shot of a bunch of horrible things that happened to Anne that we didn't see on screen.
Yeah. First time interacting with X, first time interacting with Y. Yeah. And having to learn to love insect food.
Yeah. Oh, but I'll say it a million times, but when she got to Marcy and offered some a sweet that had insects in it, and she immediately gobbled it up and went, what have I become? Yeah. Insect food's going to be the way of the future, otherwise we're going to have the food wars.
Well, I'm still sticking with the plant side.
Sure, you assume that's going to continue to prosper, but sure.
I do assume that. Like, if you put money into it, it will continue to prosper.
Yeah, guess who fucking ain't?
Yeah.
Most people.
Yeah. However, you can buy it in stores right now, whereas you can't buy bug meal. Well, apart from for, fucking fishing tackle.
Well, that's not edible, humans.
No, not safe for human consumption.
No. But yes, the second half of this episode is Turning Point, which is the much more exciting part of this episode. Sorry.
Yes.
But it's one of the things that they do very well in the first half of season 3, in that they do take occasional dalliances back to Amphibia to see what's going on, and because they're sprinkled few and far between, all of them are enjoyable.
Yeah, they're all treats.
Yes.
And yeah, this one is specifically Sasha and Grime.
Yeah, it literally starts immediately after the season 2, well, not a few moments after season 2 finale, once Anne's fucked off through the portal, and they're pretty sure Marcy's dead.
Yeah, and Sasha and Grime have hijacked Joe Sparrow, leaving Olivia and General Yunnan stranded with King Andreas.
To be fair, they've not fully done their realization that they're serving Darth Vader, so...
Yeah. Like, I think this was the realization. And, like, if you look, I think both of them do their best not to attack living people.
I don't think they're ever shown, not until they're collared.
Fair enough.
Not until they're collared. Well, to be fair, they don't really attack people.
Well, General Yunnan very much does attack people.
No, I meant after the realization. After the realization, it's pretty much
realization.
Exclusively robots in Andreas' castle.
Yeah. Like, after the realization, even when they are put into a situation where they should be attacking people, I think they try and do the thing where...
They're newts, they climb on the ceiling.
Yeah, they're there, they're seen to be participating, and yet not actually participating.
And I'm just going to say it right now, seeing as we brought them up. I did not see that going where it ended up going.
I kind of did, when there was an episode about them both.
Well, I assume that's just because, they were both friends of Marcy. Well, they knew Marcy could do something and attempted to help her. I didn't think that there was a blossoming relationship. Not to say I'm against it, I was quite happy at that revelation.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only thing I'm disappointed is they didn't reveal that Grime is the big fun gay uncle that he clearly is.
Yeah. Like, that takes a little bit more time.
I suppose. Anyway, yeah, it's very cool. We get to see that Sasha and Grime are still badasses in their own rights. They end up going to Wartwood. They are not trusted because fucking doy.
Yeah.
Grime wants to piss off and join his sister Beatrix with the Toad Army, and as far as we as viewers are aware, that's what he does. Although me and Rick have been around the block a bit, we know cartoons, and we could probably see coming from a mile away that wasn't going to last for long.
Yeah, absolutely.
It lasted all of 5 minutes when he did a heroic fucking save near the end.
Yeah, it does end with a nice dramatic thing of, he comes back to save the day. And yeah, they become the new de facto protectors of Wartwood.
And it becomes the base of operations for the rebellion.
Yeah.
Which, good.
I think this is the last time we see them before it comes back to showing Anne returning and them actually having to, build up the rebellion properly.
Yes, when we next see Sasha, it's not until episode 10 or 11. No, 11, because that's when they're back. And they get design changes.
Yeah.
Because Sasha's been in Wartwood for a fucking while fighting battles, so she becomes basically blonde Xena.
Yeah.
Not quite as muscular, but she is only 13.
True. And she is still a cheerleader rather than a powerlifter,
Absolutely, but she's definitely spec'd into Barbarian.
Yeah.
So, take that for what you will.
Yeah, she's a Dex Barb.
Those suck.
No, they don't.
They suck. If you're a true barbarian, you wield a two-handed weapon, or fuck off.
Yeah, well, Sasha's got 2 swords.
Yeah, I'm just saying she's got the barbarian statistics, but she doesn't wield the correct weapon. But her and Grime combined are the barbarian.
Yeah, she's got the barbarian background.
Yeah. Moving on, we've got pretty much 2 fluff episodes. Well, I say 2 fluff episodes. A fluff episode with the 2 of them combined. Not a lot of plot really happens, but I don't care.
Yeah. The Thai food the Thai food one is all about a guy who he loves the food so much he wants to spread it to more people.
And in trying to do so, actively fucks over the business.
Yeah. He spends the entire episode just not realizing that family recipes are family recipes, and he thinks that his attempt to recreate it could go well and hopes that it will, but it doesn't, because he parks his fucking food van right outside their house.
And because he named it the exact same thing, literally that he's stealing customers, because a bunch of customers go, oh, I didn't realize this restaurant had a food truck.
Yeah.
Like, by the end of the episode, it's all is well, but the guy's a fucking idiot. Because he is entirely coming from a place of love.
Yeah, like 100% place of love. Like, it's built into his motivation right from the get-go, and he wears that on his sleeve.
But the love has blinded...
the guy's name as well.
Yeah, it's inconsequential. He never shows up again. He is so blinded by love, he can't see that everything he is doing is literally fucking over the thing he wants to elevate.
Yes.
But yeah, we also have the other plot of Sprig really wants to be an honorary boon choi, much like Anne is an honorary planter.
Yeah, and because Anne's mum has been treating the planters like guests the entire time, Anne gets in trouble for everything that Sprig does. Yep, and it's always Sprig.
Yep, and Sprig nearly kills a man.
Yes.
Can't brush over that. Sprig is being a proper shit the entire episode. And again, he is fueled by love, but he's being a dick.
Yeah, I think Sprig is a bit of a dick for most of this season.
Oh, 1 second. We're about 3 episodes into season 3. In case you hadn't realised, we swear on this podcast. If you're not okay with that, or are a child, stop listening.
Yeah, we just called a 10-year-old frog a dick. I apologise, but,
I'm not apologising, he was a dick.
I'm apologising for the language, but yes, we do use this kind of language.
Yeah, I just realised we should probably preface that, because we might get people listening who aren't our usual audience. Well, I'm hoping we do anyway.
Hello, new people.
Don't address them. Know they're there, and know that their ears may be innocent. Anyway, Sprig, literally my words are, Sprig is being a little shit and nearly kills a guy. Thankfully, he does not commit manslaughter / murder in the 2nd degree, but he does wreck the food truck.
Yeah, he does. And then he gets a bollocking from Anne's mum, and that cements him as an honorary boon choi.
Yeah, he fucking loves it.
Yeah.
Because Anne said very early on, in fact, as you said, when Anne was getting told off for the planters' mistakes, that she only yells at family because she can get away with it, basically.
Yeah. I think everyone's got a family member like that.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, the next episode is actually much more fun because it has the most heartfelt moment at all to this point that I've seen, and it tickled me in a very in that particular way. You can't quite describe why it tickles you, but it does. And basically the whole episode is based around the plant, specifically Hot Pop doesn't want the planters to be freeloaders, and they talk about some distant cousin who was a dick. So in order to get around not being freeloaders, they offer to take the cat Domino to the vet. One thing leads to another, and they need to call Mr. Boon Choi to bail them out because the cat ran away. On the ride back home on his little moped scooter thing, the planters lament, saying that, oh, sorry, I guess we're just freeloaders. And in the most serious I think the guy is in the entire series, Mr. Boon Choi that is, sort of stops the scooter and says, you looked after my daughter for months in another world, you'll never be freeloaders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really heartfelt, double-edged thank you of, yes, thank you for what you did, and don't worry, we're here for you, you were here for her. And it kind of cools the entire situation off.
Yeah.
In a way that it kind of needed to, because we spent enough episodes on it.
Yeah, it was a rather heavy moment that is immediately broken about, I don't know, 10 seconds later when they get home and Anne is high as fuck from the funny gas because she had a bunch of cavities that needed to be filled because she's been living in Amphibia without a toothbrush and eating bugs for 6 months.
Yep.
Which, that's a level of realism they didn't need to go into, but they did.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things, especially showing kids. Showing kids what can happen if you don't brush your teeth is a good idea.
Trust me, man, I wish I had that. I mean, I did have that lesson drilled in. You know when you're a kid and you get a lesson drilled into your head, and yet you still kind of ignore it because it's being told to you a bit too much?
Yeah. Like, some of them are really important, like wear a helmet when you're on, like, a two-wheeler, and yet some of them, like, you need to wash this, that, and the other every single time, kind of gets swept under the rug.
Yeah, because the helmet thing, whenever it's drilled into you, it's always like, you will die if you don't do this. And then, and then other things are constantly thrown at you from every cartoon you watch as a child.
Like, the helmet one is really easily backed up by the one time you're wearing a helmet and you bonk your head and you break the helmet. You just look at the helmet and go, oh, cool, thank you, helmet, very cool, now I need a new one.
Yeah, I never had that sort of injury. Although I do have a scar on my elbow from when I fell off my scooter. Real scooter, not an electric one.
Yeah. I fell down the world's tiniest flight of stairs on a bike, face first, and the helmet didn't break, but a lot of fiberglass came off it.
So you were really dumb trying to go downstairs on a bike?
No, I was trying to go next to the stairs and I slipped and it went sideways and ended up going face first, and it was the stupidest thing, and yet I learned my lesson from it. The helmet does do something, because until then I thankfully hadn't been hit on the head while wearing a helmet.
Something, pain is an excellent teacher.
Oh yes.
However, the Victorians took that to another degree. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's shall.
The next pair of episodes, episode 4, Fight at the Museum, and Temple Frogs, are both lore heavy.
Yes, they are. The museum one is Anna's shifted into high gear on trying to get the Plantars home.
I think she hasn't slept for something like 72 hours, is what she says.
Yeah, and as someone who's done that a couple of times, that's not fun.
Once you pass the 36-hour mark, you do suffer from visual and auditory hallucinations.
Yes. Something. The mermaid went past the car window when I needed a piss.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, sleep regularly.
Yeah, please do. Heal your brain.
But yeah, she's been researching the multiverses, and this was months before Multiverse of Madness. Ooh. But yeah, she finds a bunch of stuff which is mostly conspiratorial shit because, people don't tend to know this. Multiverse is a real scientific theory, but there's no way to prove it, so it's kind of pointless. Yeah.
And at least with what we currently have, and if there were any incursions, then they have made themselves completely unknown.
That's not I'm not talking about comic shit. I'm literally talking about the scientific theory.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, again...
Yeah, it's unknown and unknowable.
Yeah, pretty much. It's literally... Because there's no way to prove it, it could theoretically be a thing, however, there's no way to prove it, so it's just going to remain in the area of science fiction / comic books, which is fine, whatever. Anyway,
yep.
As it happens, during this research, she does happen to find a piece of Amphibia pottery at the local museum. So, even though she's paranoid and sleep deprived, they head to the museum, they find it, and again, paranoia is real. She does not think she can trust the scientist / museum. Sorry, that's me fucking tripping over my tongue. / the curator. So she decides the most rational course of action is to come back at nighttime and fucking steal it.
Yeah, if only she could have seen the opening credits. She could have seen Dr. Jan waving and being happy and realised, oh, this is meant to be a happy, nice person.
Yeah, man, don't skip sleep.
No.
But yeah, they do come back at night and attempt to do the heist, but hey, look, it's the Frog Terminator again.
Yeah, the Toadinator reappears, and they have another showdown with it.
Yeah, they have a bit of a scuffle. The Frog Terminator once again flees because Dr. Jan, who is our, scientist / curator, and security arrive, forcing the robot to run away, because again, can't stress this enough, it's such a good thing to put into the code of the robot that, hey, don't be seen, because it gives them an out. They don't have to have this thing take an L every time. It's just like, well, fuck.
This is after the first loss, so it's already had to repair itself with local materials.
To be fair, though, the loss only occurred because Anne went Super Saiyan.
Oh yeah, totally. But also, it brings it down a power level as well.
You say that, but we see in the next part that it has an amazing ability that it doesn't use until the next part, which is a fuck ton of drones.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird... It's a very video game thing of, I'm not going to use my strongest asset / attacks because...
Yep. You need to put it on the sorting algorithm of power levels.
Yeah. But yeah, at the end, Anne confides in Dr. Jan why she was here, and because she's just nice, I guess, Dr. Jan's like, fuck it, I'll keep your secret, and let's fucking research this together.
Yeah, but anyone less friendly would not have taken that.
Oh, yeah, that we would have seen Mr. X earlier if they didn't take it.
Oh, definitely.
But that's in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, it is.
The second half is a very fun, fluffy episode with some very important plot information. It's called Temple Frogs. They go to the Thai temple, where apparently they do this once a week, I want to say they said.
They do it semi-regularly, and the actual thing that they do confide in the viewers and the characters is that while Anne was missing and the Boonjoys were both distraught and having to, run the restaurant, the rest of the community chipped in and really helped out.
Yeah.
So they're going all in on contributing back to the community the way that they normally would anyway, but making a real big show of it and really thanking everyone.
Well, one of the things they explicitly do as well is when Anne tries to fuck off early to go see Dr. Jan, Miss Boonchoy, I don't know if she's given a first name, she might be, but I don't remember it. She stops Anne from going and says, listen, the reason we're here today specifically is to show you off, to show you're safe, and also returning all these dishes because everyone cooked for us while you were missing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to say that I don't think this happens often enough in cartoons, in that it does a very good job of showing a bit of a portal into other cultures.
Yeah. Showing culture in a completely organic way. We're doing this because this is the thing that we do, not just because we're showing it to a bunch of kids,
But also, it shows it in a very American way. They're showing Thai culture as if it was an American subculture, because, that's how it would be seen in to the bulk of the viewing audience, because the bulk of the viewing audience of this cartoon are going to be Americans.
Yeah. It's an island in an American city.
Sure. Gone.
And yeah, we get some other little tidbits like we mentioned earlier. Polly walks into the Thai language class.
Yeah, and she picks it up straight away, and Anne gets pissed because she was like, it took me 3 months to get 2 words down.
And it's because she's been watching Mrs. Boonjoy's Thai dramas.
Ah, that makes sense. It's one of those, though, like one of the best, if you want to teach your kid how to learn if you want to teach your kid a second language, have them experience it.
Yeah. And ideally have them experience something that they want to continue doing. So, like a drama like Polly had, or like anime, for instance.
Yeah, although most people who get exposed to anime are at that age where they don't just pick up languages easily.
Sure.
Unless you have that talent, in which case, fucking kudos, abuse it.
Yeah, absolutely. But like a lot of people will just read the subtitles, but then sometimes you can just hear a couple of things and go, oh, that means hello, that means the sky, that means you're a troublesome little brat.
Yeah. Well, okay, fair point. Like, I pick up a word or hear when I watch things in languages I don't understand, but like, if you ever use them in regular sentences, you look like an idiot.
Yeah. It's like the opposite of when you hear someone who's meant to be French and they'll talk English with a French accent, and now and again they'll say bonjour. Like, the really easy words that everyone knows are the ones that the allegedly French person or German person or whatever use in media to show that this is a person from a different culture.
Yeah, alternatively, you've got Del Boy, who doesn't speak any foreign languages and just...
Monsieur?
Yeah. Occasionally says bonjour or au revoir, and as we know, the big joke, if you're British, you already know it, but if you're not, I'll enlighten you. He always says au revoir when he's saying hello and bonjour when he's saying goodbye.
Yep.
The two words in the language you should never be able to fuck up. So much so that was such a played-on joke, they just assumed everyone would get that he was wrong.
Yeah. I think the other one that I enjoy with that is when he asks Rodney what a duck is in French, and he just went, it's canard, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, but what's the actual word? Canard. Oh, fine, fuck it, basically.
Okay.
I thought it was funny anyway. You can cut it, no worries.
Oh, I'm not cutting it because these things are long, so I can't listen to every single sentence, and it has to be ready by tomorrow, Rick.
Yeah, fair enough.
So congratulations, you have to listen to Rick say a bad joke, because that joke's not funny when it's not played out for you. Anyway, this is getting very long in the tooth, and we're only on episode 5. Let's move on. Episode 4. Let's move on.
Yep. The community fights off the Frog Terminator, and
no, it's just his drones.
Yeah, just the drones, and stand together as a community, and we get a nice panning shot. And yeah, Dr. Jan does show up instead of Anne going to her, because she has found something out about the Mother of Olms.
Yeah, that's the only clue we get. No one knows knows what that means out of us as viewers and the people in universe, so that's fun. Well, that doesn't pay off until right near the end.
Yep. Polly repairs Frobo. The fact that it was in the title was a bit of a spoiler already.
Well, she fixed him, but she doesn't. I didn't care for this episode. All it does is, hey, Frobo's kind of back, but he's only a head, so it don't really matter. And also, holy shit, Polly is now Tony Stark.
Yes, she is. Like, she makes friends with these two YouTubers who make robots.
Yep.
And they think that she's awesome because she can do all this when she's like 1.
Yeah. Next episode is far more interesting. Andreas gives the Frog Terminator the order to kill Anne within an hour. Literally, if he does not kill Anne within an hour, the robot will self-destruct. And the robot has self-preservation instincts, because of course it does. So it fucking kicks off into overdrive. Negating that fact, I have a suspicion that it didn't matter if he fulfilled his order or not. He was going to blow up anyway.
Yeah, true. Here's the thing, with these two episodes being right next to each other, I was 100% expecting that Frobo was going to get some hand-me-down parts.
He kind of does, doesn't he? But we don't see them in effect until later.
Yeah, like, I thought he was going to get like 99% of a body, and knowing that you can repair it with local parts, just fill in the blanks with other like TV bits and all that, you know?
But yeah, there's not much to say here. The entire episode is basically a big fight with Anne trying to skirt the subject of why the robot's trying to kill her, if that's even what it's trying to do. Eventually confessing at the end of the episode to her parents that what's happening is
a little bit more dangerous than she's been letting on.
Yes. And just another note, this marks the end of the first batch of Disney Plus episodes from season 3, which makes makes a good amount of sense, because we're done with our first antagonist / threat / problem, and we're going to get introduced to our next one in the next episode, funny enough, titled Mr. X.
Yep.
Who, I got the words here that he is dapper as fuck and he knows it.
Yeah, he's RuPaul.
Yeah, except not horribly transphobic. No, I'm kidding. It's one of those weird situations, isn't it? Because it's hard to say he's transphobic considering his career. However,
he's the face of drag.
He has said some horrible things that were taken a bit out of context about people who have transitioned.
Yeah, but it was out of context.
Yeah, I know, but my gut reaction whenever I hear RuPaul is horrible transphobic, and then I have to immediately correct myself and go, oh wait, hang on, you know what I mean? Yeah, so apologies, Mr. RuPaul, who will never hear of this, but
yeah, but some people have been given an impression of you which was erroneous.
Yep.
Just by some kind of clickbaity article that really wanted to click.
I don't even click on those things. I don't know where I got that information from.
Probably from the title of the article.
But I don't remember where I got it, is what I'm saying. Anyway,
yeah,
it's one of those things where, like, after thinking about it for 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, hang on, that doesn't compute.
Yep. So Mr. X has got a assistant who is mute.
Yeah, I don't think they're mute, but they certainly don't say a lot.
No.
That being said, I would absolutely watch a spin-off of Amphibia that's just Mr. X and his associate dealing with problems.
Yeah. Different incursions, because it implies that this is the first time that they've been able to prove an incursion, and they really want to...
Boy, you can fucking tell you watch Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You really like that word lately.
Well, it's some kind of an invasion from beyond the stars, or from a different world, or from a different dimension, all that shit. So they want to secure funding for their department because it's probably on the cusp of being dismantled for budget reasons.
Sure. One of the things I appreciate about this episode is that it shows that Mr. X can, 1, get shit done, and 2, by the end of it, we realise that even though he is clearly the antagonist because he's set up opposite the Plantars, his goals are not malicious.
Yeah.
His goals are purely, I want to help protect the planet from alien invasion.
Yeah, he's on society's side.
We live in a society.
Return to monkey.
Thank you. But yeah, they eventually get bailed out by the Poon Choice. Oh, there's a Freudian slip. The Boon Choice, when they cut the power to the cinema and make the save, and they rather funnily remark that, they learnt which wires not to cut when they had to fix a power thing that Anne did as a child.
Yeah.
So they just cut the wrong wire on purpose. It was great.
Yep. Yeah, it was a nice introduction to the new antagonist.
Yeah.
And yeah, he keeps showing up until, episode 10?
Episode 10 is his last appearance until the things that happen in the last couple of episodes.
The additional return to Earth.
Yeah. They leave him some look-alike frogs as a bit of a souvenir so he doesn't go home empty-handed, and it gives him the hint that, they're frog aliens we're dealing with.
Yep.
Next episode is Spriggs Birthday. It's once again a fluff-filled thing. I don't remember a lot from it. It's one of those where we learn that birthdays in Amphibia are depressing as fuck because they live in a death world.
Yeah, like, apologies to Sprig and it being your birthday, but this episode wasn't memorable.
No. The only thing I remember is that fucking hot air balloon attendant needs to be fired.
Doesn't the balloon itself end up draped over a billboard at the end?
Yeah, something like that. I just, like, he said, okay, I think Anne said, oh, it's Spriggs' birthday, can we just stand in it for a minute, when he was told you explicitly cannot fly it. And then he just left them do it and then fucked off to deal with something else, and that's when they fucking took it and then nearly died.
Yeah, they cut the rope and nearly died, because it wasn't a storm or something as well.
Yeah, it was high winds.
Yeah. But the good thing is, the takeaway is that it does reiterate Spran Against the World, which was more a season 1 thing, and now they're, like, hammering it home, now that there's only a few episodes left, that it is Spran Against the World still.
Yeah, I mean, I put in brackets here at the end of this paragraph that I've written for the notes. That's just, Spran Against the World, baby.
Yep. But yeah, on the back of that, we get a much better Sprig episode, which is the Spider Sprig.
This episode is great. They're both bangers. Important to note, when this episode came up, the hype was at a fever pitch for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah. So he goes around being his own little vigilante hero, or pretending to be a hero, and, causing a few more issues than he actually solved.
Yeah.
It was a nice parody, and also a nice deconstruction of vigilantism rather than heroism.
Yeah, and also, like, choosing Doc Ock, they knew exactly what they were doing, because again, they were playing to the No Way Home trailers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, by the end of it, they both get told off by not Doc Ock's daughter. Yeah, estranged daughter, I think. I can't remember. And they both agreed to clean up the city.
Yeah, which, is a nice thing to do. It's a good thing. It's a good way to use that kind of technology and power and all that responsibility responsibly.
Yep. Next part of this episode is just named Olivia and Yunnan. And, they proved during this episode almost immediately that they don't just blindly follow orders.
No, they don't. Like, we even saw at the end of the last season, that they weren't actually super cool with killing people who they knew.
Yeah.
And now they double down on that.
I do like how even when they're doing stealth shit, that Yunnan still needs to do her thing.
Yep, if someone asks her name, then she has to give the spiel of General Yunnan, Scourge of the Sand Wars, defeater of Ragnar the Wretched, and the youngest Newt ever to become a general in the Newtopian army. And I didn't have that written down either, so...
Wow, okay, congrats.
It just speaks to the number of times she says it, and it's funny every time.
It is funny every time. It's one of those where people with experience in life kind of, because she's still relatively young, but people with experience in life will know that if you're well known enough, you could just say your name and someone will go, wait, Yunnan as in ex-Yunnan, and you'll be like, yes! But, it's a really good way of showing her youth that she still has to give every single title.
Yep. If someone recognizes you based on your name and they start nerding out, then you just wink and give them finger guns, and that's all you need to do. But she's such a large ham, and she chews the scenery to a pulp, and it's great.
Yeah.
My favorite bit of this episode, though, is when Olivia is describing some clandestine activities to Yunnan, and Yunnan goes, I see what you're doing, and I'm in.
That's fair. I appreciate how they actually succeeded in breaking Marcy out.
Yes.
However,
for all of a couple of moments.
Well, none of them could possibly plan for what occurred, and it speaks to Marcy's ability to adapt/strategize, that she was able to see through it first, even while being completely out of it.
Yeah. Like, none of them could predict Mecha Cthulhu.
Yeah, and specifically the robotic illusions.
Like, the whole thing being illusions, and like the whole heart of the castle being some kind of mechanical eldritch horror.
Yeah, doesn't even get an eldritch horror name. It's just called the Core.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but it has a lot of eyes, and one of them is on Andreas's forehead.
Yeah, the episode.
The crown. Yeah.
The episode ends in a rather it's rather predictable fashion, in that Andreas learns what's going on, and the moment Andreas shows up, there's no winning here. And he makes a bit of an evil spiel. Can't remember exactly what he says, but he does it in that way that both. In that, as Anne would say, Santa Claus way, where he's still sounding quite jolly while he talks about all this evil shit that he's going to do.
Yeah. The smiling Keith David voice.
Yeah. And he even says that you can't take Marcy away because she's going to be the new host for the Core. And this is the last time we see Olivia and Yunnan until near the end.
Yeah. And also we learn later on that Marcy being the Core was basically his bargain for not killing her. Because the Core wanted her dead immediately.
Well, Well, okay, no. The dead immediately thing was when she first came to the world, and the thing was they wanted to get rid of the prophecy by getting rid of the power of the gems in the first place. That had nothing to do with Marcy becoming the core.
Yeah, but it's the kind of... I can see the core being a bit of a Empire Strikes Back Vader of I have altered the deal and consistently need rebargaining with, you know?
I disagree, because I think the justification of Marcy beat Andreas in a strategy game, and therefore that means Marcy is smarter than Andreas and therefore more worthy of being a host for the core. I think that's enough justification. I don't think you need to go this all evil mastermind route, because, you know, the core is not all intelligent as much as they wish they were.
Yeah, they've got a lot of brains, but they all have the same ceiling.
Sure. Next episode, we've got Hollywood Hot Pop and If You Give a Frog a Cookie. Both, well, actually, no, I tell a lie. The first half is a very light-hearted episode because we need a bit of a panic cleanse after that shit, and the second half is once again depressing and miserable. But yeah, Hollywood Hot Pop. Hot Pop wants to be an actor because, you know, do you remember that shit?
Yep.
He goes to audition for a commercial, getting it only because he is the first in line thanks to a fellow actor, voiced by fucking Sean Wallace.
Yeah. Isn't he also Rex from Toy Story?
Yes.
Yeah.
However, I've got him as the character who goes inconceivable without knowing what it means in Princess's Bride. It's been a while since I've seen that film. I don't remember character names apart from Inigo Montoya because he says it 700 times.
Yeah, and in every meme as well. But yeah, the two guys look identical, apart from skin tone, pretty much.
Yeah, which really does help. What's this guy's name? I think it's Marvin.
Let's call him Marvin for the sake of argument, because, you know, he's a nice fella, but other than this, he pretty much doesn't matter.
Yeah, like he gets his big acting break because Hot Pop needs to shake Mr. X, and Mr. X is once again embarrassed when he tries to capture a frog, and it's just a person.
Yep.
But yeah, the next episode, which is big plot, and also, man, there's a lot of evil people in the world.
Yeah, there are.
Dr. Jan thinks there's another doctor that can help out, one Dr. Frake, and only jumps at the gun because the Plantars have been real shit throughout the episode, flashing defeated, wounded puppy dog eyes in that when could we go home? So Anne feels super guilty.
Yeah. And here's another little fun one. Terry the assistant is voiced by the same lady that voices Sadie Miller in Steven Universe.
Fair do?
Yeah.
She's around for so little time, I would have no way of knowing that. But yeah, this is another example of, by the end at least, of people working jobs, realising their boss is an evil piece of shit, and then refusing to help them.
Yeah, because it's very clearly stated that this person needs this job.
Yeah, well, she's pretty much a glorified intern, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, Dr. Frake's first instinct is she wants to dissect the Plantars, and yeah, Terry, the assistant, helps Anne out. In fact, there is a brief exchange where Anne tells her off and says, "Don't you dare try to stop me," and Terry's like, "I'm literally helping you." But yeah, predictably she gets fired, but by the end of the episode it's fine, because Terry gets a new job with Dr. Jan saying that she will absolutely help with making this portal.
Yeah, totally. And then we get on to the Froggy Little Christmas.
Yes, which is our last episode before we get a break.
Yeah, it is. And they were trying to build a float for the Christmas parade, or Mrs. Boonchoy wanted to make one, and she had to turn it down because, you know, plot. And
it's very important. The reason why she doesn't take it is because she doesn't want the Plantars more exposed than they already are, especially seeing as Mr. X is still a threat.
Yeah, and the Plantars are like, fuck that, let's do it.
Well, specifically Anne is like that.
Yeah.
She ropes in the Plantars very easily, and yeah, they make a kick-ass float by pretty much recruiting everyone we've met during the Earth segment.
Yeah.
And
we also get the first shot of Darcy.
We do. That's not until the end of the episode, though.
Okay, fair enough.
But what we do get is, early on, we get shots of Andreas and Amphibia experiencing Christmas, in that his scientists have given him a remote-controlled drone, and he spends about 10 minutes of the episode learning how to fly it so he can personally kill Anne Boonchoy.
Yeah. And doesn't he eventually, like, he breaks it as well, doesn't he?
Not until the drone itself is destroyed.
Yeah, I think the idea is because it fails once, he doesn't want to try it again, because he's bored. He's broken it once. He doesn't want to try it. He doesn't want to have an entire army of drones.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think that was ever the intent anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Except it would have worked.
Not really, because you'd have to have them all be controlled, as opposed to, you know, robots where give them order, they do order.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, he sends it over. It possesses a float of Santa Claus, making a line later on hella funnier.
I forget the line, actually.
when Anne is having that epic final showdown with Andreas, Andreas is like, oh, I really underestimated you, Anne Boon Choi, kid with one shoe and messy hair and this, and you turned out to be a real thorn in my side. And then Anne just goes, yeah, well, you went really quick from being happy Santa to evil villain.
Yep.
Or something to that effect. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I get the idea, yeah.
I also love how Andreas just shrugs that line off and goes, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I'm also looking at another thing you put in the notes for this episode, that Anne writes the letter to Marcy and Sasha's parents.
Yes.
Vowing to bring them home. And, like, we as viewers who have seen more know that she's closer to this than not at all. But yeah, this is what she's been working to the entire time. And her family is the only one that's gotten a win in getting their daughter home. The other two families have not. We don't see the other two families at all.
No.
And yeah, this is where the halfway point of the season is. And
well, just one more note.
Okay.
I cannot tell you how much the fanboys rejoiced to find out that Sasha's parents are separated.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're like, yes, it all makes sense and it's all forgivable now. And it's like, well, not quite, but I get your point.
Yeah, reasons rather than excuses.
But yeah, you were saying halfway point.
Yeah, it's the halfway point. Like I said, mentioned a little bit before, Darcy shows up right at the end of the episode.
Yeah, literally just to shit talk Andreas.
Yep.
Except she's not named yet. So at the moment, it's just the core possessing Marcy. But yeah. Also, again, during that last episode, I made a point of, it really, really pisses me off the amount of times Andreas could have Darth Vader this motherfucker before he possessed Marcy even. Yeah.
Like, it's shown later on that it doesn't have to have a direct connection to the rest of the core, you know, the wire that Darcy's on. He could have cut that, but it wouldn't have done much because most of what's there is already in the helmet thing, because that's what jets off.
Yeah, but if he tried to destroy the core and then they got pissed off and went, well, fuck you then, Andreas, then the core's fucked because no one knows it's there.
Yep.
Which gives Andreas infinite time to destroy it. Now, I get that there's plenty of motivation as to why he doesn't want to do this, including, a filial bond.
Yeah, he's got the well done son guy motivation. He wants his father's approval, and by extension, the rest of the core, which is just his ancestors.
Which, by the way, his dad is called Aldrich, which is close to Aldrich.
Yep. The devourer of gods. Let us devour the gods together.
But yeah, halfway point, there was a 4-month break before we got to the next episode, which is, a lot of setbacks in one episode.
Yeah.
Most importantly, everyone getting captured. But silver lining, Anne Boon Choi got a motherfucking Skywalker hallway scene, which I remember messaging you after seeing it and going, Rick, have you seen a new episode? You went, yeah. And I went, that fucking hallway scene.
Yeah. And Mr. X kind of has his real face turn here.
Yes, but no. He kind of has his face turn off camera.
Yeah, he kind of has a heel realization in that he just redirects the same energy he's been putting towards the Plantars and realizes, oh, okay, this energy can be better used elsewhere and still be used in the service of society.
Well, again, you got to bear in mind that Mr. X is 100% ignorant as to what Amphibia is and what the creatures are.
Yeah.
So it's not until after the Plantars and Anne have gone back to Amphibia that he gets a chat with the Boon Choys and they explain everything, which, kickstarts a bit of help later on.
Yeah. Little upgrade coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the massive bug creature that comes out into the real world.
It was just a red praying mantis.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you recall, even all the frogs in Wartwood could struggle to take one of those down.
Yeah, and when this aired was when the rest of the episodes up till this point were put on Disney Plus.
I think we only got the first 5 at this point.
This is when we got the other 4.
Fair enough. It's been a while. But yeah, we end on pretty much a shot of the Plantars realizing Amphibia is getting completely fucked by Andreas and his mining machines, and they're quite grieving. Next episode, we get more plot. Interesting plot too. We got Commander Anne and Sprivy.
Yeah.
So in Commander Anne, we get Anne and Sasha reuniting.
Yeah, and it's the first time that Anne is. It's the first time Anne has seen Sasha ever since basically drawing a line under their friendship and going, we're done. And now Sasha has already undergone some character development, had some time alone not alone, but without Anne in Amphibia. And she has changed. She has become a leader and she's got the legitimate trust of the Wartwoodians. Also, Loggle is buff.
Yes, I don't know his name. But yeah, all the weirdos of Wartwood are basically fucking amazing at combat now. And now that Anne is back, Sasha immediately goes, cool, Anne, you're in charge.
Yeah. And Anne doesn't want this either because partially because she doesn't want she doesn't want the bother of it, and she kind of does see how well Sasha is doing.
Well, even when she first takes over, it's not because she doesn't want the bother of it, it's because she's seeing that Sasha's already doing a good job, so why change the status quo? And then later on, it's just hammered home that, she doesn't know how to command.
Yeah, and Sasha is really wanting to offload the crown, as it were, because she doesn't want to be the one who's a control freak, because that was what was her biggest, it was her biggest flaw in the past.
Well, it's less that. I think she even explicitly words it as the reason, because they have an argument when Anne assumes that Sasha insisting that Anne be in charge is another way to manipulate and control her. But Sasha reveals that, actually, no, the last time I was in charge and you weren't, we ended up doing some fucked up shit to one another, and it broke our friendship, and she doesn't want that to happen again.
Yeah. So it's one of those weird ones where both of them don't have the complete story, and yet it's one of the few times where I've not gotten mad at a program for not having a conversation, because they both have a valid viewpoint from the information that they have, and, it's also done intense. It's not as dragged out as some media makes it.
Yeah, I feel you.
But they do, shake hands and agree to share command by the end of the episode.
Well, it helps that the conversation is taking place while the mission is going on under Anne's leadership, who doesn't know shit, and therefore everything is going wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next episode is called Sprivy, and everyone pretty much shares our reaction whenever you see that lovey-dovey couple that won't stop being lovey-dovey for 5 minutes, and that is, will you stop it?
Yeah.
We get it. You love each other. Fucking calm down.
Yeah. So they want to be by each other's side and doing the mission together, and the long and the short of it is they realise that, actually their skills were hand-picked for the teams that they were originally assigned to.
Well, that's the annoying part. They don't realise that. They have to be told it by Sasha because they're idiot kids.
Yeah. The viewers notice it a lot earlier because the viewers are, they're privy to the other thing that is happening at all times.
Well, we have third-person view, not first-person.
Yeah, totally.
That's all it is. But yeah, Sasha using proper fucking military terms, saying, yeah, you're our elites and you're protecting our specialists. Oh, by the way, did you know Sasha's fucking good at this shit? In case you couldn't tell by now. Speaking of Sasha being good at this shit, the next episode is literally called Sasha's Angels.
Yeah!
Go on.
This is the one where Toadie has the spotlight. He becomes a total badass and rescues Loggle, Mrs. What's-her-face.
It's Croker, isn't it?
Yeah, Mrs. Croker. And was it Maddie as well?
I don't remember I don't remember the other one. Yeah, okay. No, it wasn't Maddie. It was, it was the Bard with the eye.
Oh, yeah, One-Eyed Wally.
Yeah, because he's a bit trigger happy with the exploding mushrooms.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, they all escape because Toadie snaps, and Toadie immediately, despite having his physical transformation, goes back to being Toadie when he's back at camp. But that's also good because he's really good at fucking doing paperwork.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is mostly Mrs. Croker being angry at Toadie for not pushing himself to be the best person that he can be.
Yep, so much so that she ends up getting knocked out over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, important part of this episode is Anne and Sasha don't get captured with the rest of the group, and while they're waiting at the rendezvous, Anne's like, we should go in there and rescue them, while Sasha's like, nah, they can take care of themselves, and it gets into this weird sort of, they're sparring while having the argument/discussion of Sasha saying, look, just trust them, because I trust them, because I know what they can do, and Anne's really suspicious that, no, you should be doing more, because that's the type of hero Anne is, but that's not necessarily always a good thing.
Yeah.
If you have someone constantly saving the day, people can't shine themselves.
Yeah, it's like a Superman problem. You gotta occupy Superman to let the other heroes actually shine.
It's literally why kryptonite exists.
Yeah.
But yeah, next episode, Ohmtown Road. We see the word Ohm again, and we realise that that's actually the name of these creatures.
Yeah, so I didn't know this until, well, obviously it was spelled out for us.
Yeah.
I also didn't know that it was a real word either.
Yeah, same.
So I looked it up, and yeah, they're a kind of salamander.
Yeah. So we meet Lysil and Anwin, in. And yes, I did have to look up their names. The conjoined Olm.
Yeah, I also had to trust you on this script because I also just forgot their names immediately.
Well, because they showed up for
times.
like one episode and they were dealt with as if they were like a side villain that really doesn't matter. And then here we are. Which, hey, guess what? Happens a fucking lot in this series.
Yeah, so the entire back half of this season is bringing back Monster of the Week characters and turning them into a integral part of the combined rebellion.
Yeah.
And this is the first one of those. Seeing the thing that looked like some weird conjoined cave leviathan, and actually making them important.
Yep.
Even though they've been, exiled. They got Jar Jar Binks. They're the ones that are exiled. They're a bit leery about going back to their home city.
And rightly so, because the moment they show up is, hey, you were banished. Fuck off.
Yeah, just like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Binks break the no comebacky law.
Yeah, but Binks is even worse, because when Binks goes back, it's like, you will now be apponded until death, which could either mean being hit by rocks a lot or fucked. Either way, it does not sound fun.
Oh no.
But they take the group to Proteo, which is the Olm capital, and our fourth race of amphibians.
Yes.
Yep, banned, kicked out, etc., etc. The group ends up getting kicked out again after causing some trouble. I can't even remember if they caused the trouble or it's excess damage from the drills. But either way, they end up going back up top. The Olms reveal that they can't actually exist in sunlight because it kind of kills them. But no.
Yeah, they've got like Cali level of allergy to sunlight, and just immediately turns out burst out into blisters.
Yeah, not great. But regardless, Lysil and Anwin join the group in destroying a drill that actually does threaten the city.
Yeah, because the rest of the inhabitants were just super denying it and saying that this is the natural part of, tectonic plate movement.
Oh god, it's too real, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, despite saving the city, the boss still tells the group to go fuck off, and then we cut to Sasha going, nah, fuck you, and that is enough to make the boss go, fine. Which leads us to Mother Olm, our very early on clue. Now let's have a quick look here. When we get this clue all the way back in episode 4, it's been 9 episodes since this was mentioned.
Yes.
First thing I want to say is Mother Olm is voiced by Whoopi Goldberg, and it does not sound like Whoopi Goldberg doing Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, I also didn't know this. Like, this is something that I didn't see in the credits at all. But yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, explains why she doesn't have eyebrows. Sorry, that was an unnecessary comment, wasn't it? But but yeah, the episode's fucking weird because the gang has to go inside Mother Olm's head, quite literally, and apply some ointment to her brain to make her remember.
Yes.
This episode's quite fucking morbid because very quickly they stumble upon the fucking old newt person who used to do this for her, and it's a skeleton.
Yep.
So it's been a while.
The only ointment that there is held by the skeleton who didn't manage to do it.
Yeah. We also find that the real reason why she's got headaches is because her head is now home to a nest of batsquitos, which, by the way, is a great fucking name.
Yeah. Double bloodsuckers.
Yeah. Well, only vampire bats eat blood, but whatever. Yeah.
True.
While this is going on, Mother Olm has a bit of a chat with Hop Pop, and Hop Pop laments growing older, and Mother Olm explains, it's not all that bad, and yeah, that's a message you need to drill into people.
Yeah. Like, even if you're getting wrinkly and creaky, you're still you.
Like, Rick, I'm going to be 30 in about a month and a half, which isn't old by any stretch of the imagination, but let me tell you, if you're a young person, or younger person, I should say, listening to this, you will reach an age, it might be an old age, it might be a relatively young age, where you just sort of stop and go, man, I'm fucking old now.
Yeah.
And again, 30's not old.
Yeah, some people have their midlife crisis when they're 17,
Which is bad, because they probably don't realise it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rough. It's rough going. And you need to really get used to the idea very quick that you will get old.
Yeah, like, I've already had more than half of my 30s. Like, the struggle is real.
How old are you?
I'm 36 right now. 36 and a half, almost.
So I didn't even know you were that old.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where my brain does this weird thing where, what age did I meet you at? You're that age forever.
Yep.
So for me, you're like how old I am.
Yeah, you're going to overtake me soon in your brain.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, yeah, we got distracted. We all learn that Hop Pop's skills in agriculture can come in handy when he picks up some leaves to make Olm sneeze out the gang. Eventually the group does learn that all 3 of the girls are meant to get superpowers and save the world, much to Sasha's delight, because they need a win after getting covered in Olm snot.
Yeah, they do.
I need to stress that Sasha being pissed that all she had to do was look up and they could have avoided all of that is totally justified.
Yeah. However, they do heal Mother Ulm by doing it, so...
Yeah, I suppose.
It's of a benefit to the overall ally gestalt.
Next episode is Grime's Pupil, and I was looking forward to this episode since I learnt the title because I fucking love Grime.
Yes.
Ever since the end of season 2, Grime has been on the top of my I like this side character a lot. Mostly because I can pinpoint the moment, and that's when they fucking pull down the mural and find the real mural, which is the Newts enslaving the multiverse, and Grime just going, oh boy, it's a real good thing we stopped him. That is the moment where I was like, yeah, Grime, I like Grime. He's a piece of shit, but not as evil as the other piece of shits. And also, let's be real, during season 3, he just gets more and more fluffy.
Yeah, he's just kind of sneaking towards the good guy's side the entire time, just so he can be stood shoulder to shoulder with all the rest of the good guys, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, this episode's great. It's another show of Grime. Even though he's done his face turn, he's still a fucking soldier. And yes. When they try to win the Toad Army for the rebellion, Grime's solution is to challenge Beatrix to a duel and, winner gets control of the army, basically. However, Beatrix reveals that she gets to choose who she fights, and she chooses Sprig because Sprig beat Grime in one-on-one combat.
Yep, he did that one time, didn't he? Yeah.
That was literally the end of season 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So Grime then has the entire, most of the rest of the episode training Sprig to fight like a toad.
Unfortunately, there's a few flaws with this plan.
Yeah, the size of Sprig and the fact that he's not a toad.
Yep.
And also the fact that they hate each other still, even when they're trying to work together to train each other.
Yeah. But thankfully, they do eventually come together. I forget what the exact moment is, but I know there's I feel like there's killer bees involved.
Yeah. And I think the takeaway from it is basically Grime going, okay, Sprig, fight like a frog.
Oh, by the way, Grime's voiced by Troy Baker.
Yep. Yeah, he is.
Which I did not know. But it totally makes sense when you find out.
I think Beatrix is Aisling Bea, which is one of the Irish comics that shows up on QI quite often.
Okay, yeah, I know who Aisling Bea is.
Yeah.
Beatrix does not sound like Aisling Bea, but okay. That's just a testament to that actor, if that is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get the fight between Beatrix and Sprig. Sprig wins because Beatrix cannot combine with the ferocity of a toad, the aggressiveness of a toad style mixed with the agility of a frog. And the episode ends with Beatrix losing and going, fine, you get the army. And then Grimes saying, oh yeah, trying to act professional for all of 2 seconds before laughing in her face and rightfully getting knocked the fuck out with a punch. Which is hilarious. And I don't care what you say, that will never not be funny.
Doesn't he do the thing of when he's laughing, he just alternates pointing both fingers?
Which unfortunately he can't do anymore. But
oh, not anymore, no, but
yeah, next episode, The Root of Evil and the Core and the King.
Yeah, Apothecary Gary.
Yeah, I didn't really care for this episode. It did what most episodes have already been doing, which is, here's old antagonist, he is good guy now because bigger threat.
Yeah, so it's the mind control mushroom from back in the day is now an entire mini faction.
That being said, we do have a key difference, don't we, in that everyone in this village is willing.
Yeah, the villagers are willing and they're all linked rather than just being individually controlled, and because of this it makes them instrumental in understanding how the Andreas mind control is working, because it's basically the same psychoactive compounds, and also they bond a little bit with Hot Pot in that he is
a gardener,
an avid he's a passionate horticulturalist.
Yep.
And that's basically how they recruit them.
Yeah, well, kind of. They really recruit them by doing the turnabout save at the end, by accidentally leading Andreas' robots to the village.
Yeah, they could have left at that point.
I mean, they
did. That's not what heroes do.
They did. They were gone, and they were like, "Oh, we got to turn back, don't we?" It's always a funny that type of moment in every show.
Yeah, we got to be protagonists, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I do remember, because it did make me laugh, was when they revealed that, there might be another fungus helping Andreas, and Anne does that fucking eyebrow wagging thing and go, hey, it might be a lady fungus, only for Gary to cross his beetle arms and go, that's not how it works. Yeah. You know,
I love the hey eyebrows in any media.
Yeah, it's great, especially in cartoons, because they can really make them go.
Yep.
But yeah, the next episode is arguably why I didn't really care for Root of Evil, because The Core and the King is a fucking great episode, because it's a flashback to Andreas.
Yes, I love these episodes in general, and this was a very good one of it, because it calls back to a time when all amphibians were united as a utopian society. It shows us the utopian society, and it shows us the end of it.
Yeah.
We see Leaf, Barrel, and Barrel is the one who has who had the hammer that Grime retrieved and can now wield.
Yeah, man. It's so cool seeing legendary artifacts being wielded by the original person.
Yes.
It's like it's a bit different, but there's a moment in spoilers for Seven Deadly Sins of the character Escanor inherited the spirit of the One, which is the spirit of is the abilities of an angel, and Escanor's body is being broken down because he's only a human and he can't wield it to full effect anymore.
Sure.
I'm really glossing over it. There's a bit more to it than that. But the angel whose ability it was doesn't have the ability anymore when he comes down to help in the fucking war. Because there's really spoiler stuff, so I won't say it. But Escanor just goes, I can lend you the power again, because he's that arrogant. It's great. So the original angel takes it, and it's like, oh, Escanor was shit at this. Damn.
Yeah.
But it's that sort of thing. It's like, oh, this guy's got a legendary weapon and he's badass with it. But then you see the person who fucking invented the style and he's like, nah, you ain't shit, son. Granted, we don't see Barrel in combat, but, you know, I just get that feeling when you see that sort of stuff, you know?
Yeah, the person who invented, well, even if he didn't invent it, he's the one that it's made for.
Yeah.
Rather than just generally usable by any toad of sufficient strength.
Yep.
Which there clearly aren't very many of, because, you know, that hammer was out there in the universe for quite some time.
Well, even when Grime got it, you remember that episode when he got it? He couldn't use it for a bit.
Yeah, and it wasn't it also like guarded by the creature that it was embedded in?
Yeah, when he pulled it out, he tried to use it and he struggled.
Yeah, because it's a rocket hammer.
Yeah.
And until you realise it's a rocket hammer, yeah, it's just a big old lump.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good fucking episode, man. We basically see the reason why this collapse is because Leaf has too much empathy.
Yes. Leaf also learns some awful truths and wants to she wants to basically help Andreas break free of the evil, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those where I've worded it rather crudely in my notes and I won't repeat what I said, but if King Aldrich didn't say specific words to Andreas just literally like a day or an hour before Leaf found out and said, oh, we should not do this, then it probably would have worked out.
Yeah, like it was perfect timing to plant the seeds of doubt into Andreas.
Yeah, because he said it before Leaf said a thing, it was a plausible thing to be like, well, Dad's never steered me wrong.
Yeah, because this was basically the last thing he said to Andreas before he joined the Corps, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because he was a living person before this, and then he just went down into the basement and just became another one of the many eyes.
Yeah.
And from then on, whenever we hear the Corps, we know that most of what is talking to Andreas is his father.
Yeah, because the Corps knows that that's the best way to fucking control him.
Oh yeah, totally.
We also officially get Marcy's new name.
Yeah, we get the real Darcy name.
Yeah, called Darcy, and I think the Corps rather glibly says, yes, we've based it on a video game that Marcy liked. It's quite fitting.
Yeah.
And it's like, now is it Dark Pit or is it Dark something else?
Dark Pit, Dark Link,
that's
just dark anything.
That's the problem, innit? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, oh man, they did a real good job in making that creature look evil, and that creature, I mean, the Corps taking over Marcy and making Darcy.
Yeah, because you still see Marcy's face, but it's contorted in ways that a human never would.
Yeah.
Like enormous, massive, evil grins.
Yeah. Also, they really like to do that fucking neck snap thing.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, the episode ends with Leaf fucking off and running away with the music box because they didn't want them to use it, and Barrel gets banished to what eventually becomes Toad Tower.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, yeah, all of this stemmed because Andreas looked at a ripped-up painting that he slashed out of anger back in the day.
Yeah. The entire flashback is because of that, yeah.
All right.
And,
yeah,
it's one of those later on, we learned that the split up went even further, didn't it? But we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah, next episode is Newts in Tights and Fight or Flight. I've got to be honest with you, I'd rather just gloss over these episodes because, again, it's just more recruiting. We get, what's his name? We get Tritonio the Newt, and we get Domino 2.
Yeah, when we were going through all of these Monster of the Week returns, I was like, oh, okay, so when's Domino 2 going to show up again?
Weirdly enough, I had the opposite reaction to this, preemptive reaction to this episode, because I saw Newts in Tights and I went, oh, that's got to be the Newt dude that trained them and fucked them.
Yeah.
Did not think we were going to see Domino 2 again, and yet here we are.
Yeah. But yeah, these episodes happened, and they add to the list of returning villains, returning bit characters. And then
Also,
we get into the 3 armies.
Well, I was going to say, just before that, it gives us the 3 armies in that we now have a Newt faction, Toad faction, and Frog faction, all on the Rebellion side.
Yeah, because the rest of the Newts are just in Newtopia, which is basically, essentially in super lockdown after the castle took off.
I don't think that's correct. Because the army, everything that Andrius's fortress is now / Newtopia to an extent then is flying and only staffed by robots.
Yeah, like a third of the city is the castle and that's gone. But the other Newts that live in Newtopia, I think they're basically on super lockdown. I think the robots are keeping them in.
I don't know about that. I don't think we ever saw that, but fair enough. Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say was Sasha just smugly saying, yeah, now we have air cavalry.
Yeah. We have sky units. Let's hope they don't have longbows.
Oh. Yeah, I played Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 3 armies / the beginning of the end. 3 armies is a very light, fluffy episode. Granted, there's quite a bit of conflict in it, but it's fluffy because the next episode is real bad.
Yeah. The fluffy one is a conflict between Newts, Toads, and Frogs, and yeah, like you say, it gets resolved, and the armies actually do unite into a united front.
They all get united because Sasha yells at them for making Anne sad. But yeah, the Frogs don't like the Newts because they think they're evil because Andrius, and Newts don't like Toads because Toads are brutes, and Frogs don't like either of them because they're getting ignored.
Yeah.
And once again, Hot Pop becomes the leader of the Frogs because, yeah.
Yeah. Like, we learned earlier on that if he knew the elections were more than just in the place that they are, he would have won the mayorship of Wartwood.
Dude, that was the funniest realization, especially when, I've forgotten the mayor's name, but, because Toadie's such a better name than whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But the mayor just going, oh, you only campaigned in Wartwood? Oh, that's sad.
Almost makes me feel bad for winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, landslide victory in home territory. All the other votes are the ones that matter.
Well, it is when you're only one territory of 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on to the next episode, shall we? Beginning of the end. Oh, sorry, the next part of the same episode. It's very weird, isn't it, where every episode's 2 episodes, except for the ones that ain't.
Yes.
But yeah, the beginning of the end. We start with Anne and Sasha having a heart-to-heart about Marcy, because, they haven't really talked about that yet.
Yeah, they need to talk about it. It's something that needs to be at least addressed before it becomes, a problem later on.
I do like how that they get Grime to basically distract the Plantars by... Yeah, they separate, basically. So Grime and Plantars take one flying vehicle, Sasha and Anne take the other. And when they make that revelation, Grime says, oh, cool, I'll play my new playlist. And Sasha just tears up and goes, I'm so proud of you, Grimesy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have to tell him off when they get to the stealth part of the mission because he doesn't turn it off fast enough.
Yeah, I always like calling that reciting the litany of stealth.
Oh, right, yeah, Kronk.
Well, it's a Warhammer joke, and it's in the Imperial Guard handbook of if you need to be stealthy, recite the litany of stealth. And the real joke is that there is no litany of stealth, so what it means is shut the fuck up.
but Private Jenkins.
Yeah.
But yeah, the episode, we get a dance-off, basically, between Sasha and Anne versus Yunnan and Olivia, which ends with Olivia and Yunnan being defeated, because which is impressive, because as we learnt, they are totally in sync.
Yeah, they are. Partially because of the mushrooms, but also because, other things.
Yeah, which we learn, which is great. But yeah, they get defeated safely because the collars get removed, and just as Anne is about to burst into the final door and save Marcy, they both try to warn her about it's a trap, basically, and everyone gets trapped.
Yep.
They get tied up in cables, and the Corps smugly announces to the army fighting outside, which, by the way, is causing a massive distraction, that their leaders have been captured and they should lay down their arms, etc. And then she turns inwards and goes, cool, time to dissect Anne. And Anne, using the power of bullshit, manages to earn a stay of execution.
Yeah.
And yeah, the episode ends with basically the castle and Andrius's robot forces heading to Earth. And Rick, it's time to talk about All In.
So now we get to talk about All In. in, and as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of the real finale, to the point that I was astounded at the amount of things that happened in this episode.
It is important to note that this episode is twice as long as any other episode.
Yes, it is. Even the actual finale, which is the next episode after this.
The actual finale isn't a finale, it's a victory lap.
Yeah, it's a cool down victory lap. This is the one that really has everything happening in it. We get to go back to Earth, which started at the end of last episode and actually properly happens this time. We see a bunch of things. Mr. X has had his face turn. He's got his super special agents.
Which is just the Boone choice.
Yeah, it's just the Boone choice.
It's revealed immediately. There's no point in being coy.
Yeah.
But before that, we do see a line of tanks. Basically, the US government apparently can just deploy tanks in California whenever they want, within seconds.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they fire a barrage of missiles/rockets at the flying castle from outer space, and it does nothing because they have shields.
Yep.
So that very
they
quickly
deflected and they blow up the tanks as well.
I don't think they get deflected. I think they just they hit the barrier and then they just explode on the barrier, therefore doing nothing. But
yeah, fair enough.
Basically eliminating immediately the reason why the US Army isn't going to matter to Amphibia. So yeah, because that was a thing on the subreddit for a while of people going, it's something that people always do when if another universe invaded, the US Army will fix it, and it's like, no, they're not a magic solution for everything. If it was
my favourite one is, I think my favourite one of those is someone did a full-on deconstruction of a US Army versus one Imperial Star Destroyer.
Well, that's dumb.
And I think the Imperial Star Destroyer still wins.
Yeah, because we don't have technology that can just fucking nuke something in space.
Yeah, and if they start to lose, we don't have something that can just jump into a different dimension and then return later when it's repaired.
Again, when this comparison can only be done via conventional forces, and the Amphibia forces, when it's just not the giant robots necessarily, but the killer robots, it's comparable. You're like, okay, yeah, you can see why people think the US military would fuck that up, but they can't fuck things up with shields that basically render conventional military weapons obsolete.
Yeah, the good old nope shield.
Yeah, which is just cheap writing to a certain degree, but whatever. We've established that magic kind of exists, not magic, but advanced tech exists in Amphibia, so
yeah, super magitech. Yeah, and there is the duel is the big one between Sasha and Darcy.
Yeah, the two duels that happen almost simultaneously.
Yeah.
That being said, the fucking thing that I didn't like about this finale, because it was just a pull for no reason in my opinion, was the two killer herons being the ones that killed Spriggs' parents.
Yeah,
that didn't need to be a thing.
A weird one. It didn't need to be, but now it is. And I think the actual thing that shows the growth of the Plantars as culturally and as characters is that they are quite happy to use these herons as controlled mounts later on, despite there being that trauma.
But again, the trauma just, this could sound weird and awful, but the trauma just feels tacked on.
It kind of does, yeah. It was okay being something in the past that happened, because that was one of the starting episodes of, it's a heron, these are actually dangerous, they killed their parents, and it was okay with drawing a line under it there. And yeah, I kind of agree that they didn't need to make a resurgence here specifically as themselves.
That being said, because again, there's enough stakes.
Yeah.
But that being said, we do get the awesome flashback of, Hop Hop did used to be a badass. Apparently.
Well, it's one of those. Everybody in the Plantar family was at least some form of badass, as recorded in the big old book. And this is also when we realise that, there's another reason for that. They're all descendants from Leaf.
Yeah, but I kind of don't like the trope of, this special person was your ancestor, so therefore you're special,
Yeah, but also you could kind of see it, because Leaf is just Sprig with...
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying I think the trope's dumb.
Yeah, true. It kind of would have made slightly more impact if they were just nobodies,
Yeah, but they established it early on that they're not just nobodies. I'm just saying the trope of special people in past means that you yourself are special too.
Yeah.
Anyway, the two big standout moments of the finale are the Andreas duel and the Darcy duel, and I would just want to cover something very quickly right now, in that there's a moment where Darcy's cheek gets nicked by Sasha and she bleeds green. The subreddits were going mad on this, in that, why is she bleeding green? And the really simple answer is Disney says no blood in kids' cartoons.
Yep.
And because it's green means it's not blood.
Yeah, it's some weird alien substance which is now pumping through the body.
It's also why Andreas can horribly get disfigured because he's only a cyborg, and why the army is robots.
Yes, exactly.
It sucks that's the reason, but that's the reason you can't show things dying or getting actual bodily harm in a Disney cartoon aimed at kids. Also, that. Do you wonder why Darcy's scythe has got that fire effect?
Yeah, instant cauterization.
Yeah, so we don't get a load of blood when Grime gets his arm cut off, or when Sasha gets a gnarly gash on her back.
And, like, we've seen that from, like, even Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber isn't perfect at that. We saw the guy in the bar in A New Hope. There is still some blood on the arm that gets cut off.
Yeah, but that's because it's George Lucas and he doesn't think about that.
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
Star Wars rules are inconsistent at best.
Like, he's on camera calling it a laser sword already, but...
Anyway, we get two very different fights. We get a D&D-esque fight between Darcy and Sasha, while we get an anime shonen as fuck showdown between Anne and Andreas.
Yeah, and I really love the symbology of how the Andreas fight ends.
Go on.
When he's like going through his memories, and his final memory is Leaf saying, "I just beg you to open your heart," and that's when he literally does that. He deactivates his armor and just shows his chest to his opponent, presents a weak point, and awaits defeat.
Yeah, the thing about that is Anne is going so fast in her Super Saiyan mode that she doesn't realise that he stopped until after the fact, which is one of those moments where you're like, oh fuck, if this happened, if he didn't do this while Anne was mid-attack, Anne probably would have held fire.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of person Anne is.
Yeah, just like held out a hand and let him get down from the throne of doom, as it were.
Yeah. As we found out, by the way, that took an immense amount of power because Andreas can be subtly overtaken at will by the core because of that crown.
Yes. The third fight, as it were, is Marcy's own internal combat.
Yeah, which starts
fantasy.
as her doing a bunch of puzzles.
Yeah, puzzles, and then she finally gets bored of puzzles, and Aldrich comes to her and goes, "Yeah, we got more stuff. Do you want to go do this?"
Did we mention that the people who fucking are behind this show are massive nerds?
Yeah. This is one where I had to pause it and go, "Really? Oh, it is!"
I was more surprised by the Edelgard than the Link.
Oh, definitely. Like, Link is well enough known.
Yeah.
And granted, it's the most recent Link iconic appearance from Breath of the Wild, but specifically Edelgard? That was such a perfect casting for a poisonous friend who can also be an incredible ally if you are specifically on that route.
It's one of those where Edelgard is very much that figure of you're either with me or you're not.
And she's also red, which helps.
Yeah. I don't know what Marcy's costume was meant to be. The closest thing I could think of was just a generic hobbit.
Yeah, I think she was meant to be like a
Tolkien
specifically
one.
like a Tolkien Lord of the Rings type person, either a hobbit or Strider, but when Strider used to wear the green stuff.
Yeah, except that the outfit is simplistic like the hobbits, as opposed to Strider's, who even when he was Strider had a bit of a more complicated outfit than not at all.
Yeah. The thing that really grinds my gears on this one, though, is that this is basically giving Marcy the same thing again, because when she got to Amphibia for the first time, she styled herself as a rogue ranger artificer, so she was already treating the entire world as a game.
Yeah, but
and now she gets to do the same thing again.
But that's the point, though, isn't it? Is that it's not her doing it; it's Aldrich looking into her memories and seeing what she wants.
Yeah, giving her exactly what the core thinks she wants.
And this is the third battle, isn't it?
Yeah,
I completely forgot about that, because there's a point where she can just give up and live her fantasies, and then there's a line I think from fake Sasha and fake Anne, which is just like, "We want to do what you want to do," and
that's really what brings her out of it and goes, "That's not what friends are."
Yeah, and she powers through, and she gets a fate worse than death, which thankfully she's saved from. But literally, Aldrich goes, "Okay, fine. If you don't want to have all of these fantasies played out, because he's fucking sick and tired of doing this shit, you can just rot here in eternal darkness. Eventually, you'll assimilate. It's fine."
Yeah. Eventually, your personality will fade, and we'll have all of your abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want the playground, you get the box.
Ugh. But yeah, let's talk about that fucking Darcy fight then.
Yeah. So it's Sasha versus Darcy. Sasha gets her scar, which persists even 10 years later.
Yeah.
Grime intercepts a kill blow.
Yeah. I could hear the fan base go nuts when that happened, because I don't know why, but the fan base just assumed and thought that it was gospel truth that Anne was going to lose an arm at some point in the series for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't personally believe it because I couldn't see the evidence people were pointing to. And yeah, when Grime lost an arm, I'm like, ha, fuck you, fan base.
closest thing I can think of is Finn in Adventure Time, because he keeps losing an arm. Well, he loses an arm once, and then he loses all the replacement arms.
No, yeah, I know, but I mean, apparently there was some foreshadowing clues in a episode of Amphibia that Anne was going to lose an arm, and I didn't see it myself. I'm like, nah, I think you're clutching, but whatever. It was Grime that lost an arm, and fucking Sasha goes into Berserker Rage, which, as we know from D&D, is OP.
Yes.
And we get that. It happened. It's a trope in and of itself, but I don't care. I love it. Of her taking a swing, villain going, haha, you missed. And it's like, oh, did I?
Yep. I wasn't aiming for your neck kind of thing, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's a good way of stacking the deck against the hero, where the hero can't just kill their opponent. Yes. And it's not because of some bullshit moral code. It's, I'd be killing more than just the villain if I kill this person.
Yeah. So when someone's under mind control, it's very definitely, if you just kill the person, then you're killing a person as well as a villain.
Oh, fuck, I gotta talk about it. Okay, spoilers for Multiverse of Madness, skip forward about a minute and a half. Alright, people shitting on Reed Richards for telling Wanda about Black Bolt's power are fucking idiots, because Reed Richards is doing that because he knows that the Wanda that is being possessed is completely innocent and doesn't want her to die.
Yes, but so I'm all for this.
Yeah, it's one of those where people are like, oh, Reed Richards is meant to be super smart, and it's like, yeah, he is. He's also a good guy.
Yeah, and it drives home that the innocent Wanda, whose feet are cut up to shit from walking on broken glass all the time and leaving her kids abandoned, essentially, it really hammers home that she's still a good person when the kids are frightened to death of the Scarlet Witch Wanda.
Also, this group knows Wanda, and they know she's a good person in this universe, so they're not going to want to hurt her. Anyway, sorry, spoiler talk over.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just such a good way of handicapping the good guy without being like, oh, Batman, I don't kill.
Yeah, and like he's broken that code at least once in the past anyway, so...
Yeah, well, sometimes there's exceptions. There's always exceptions. There has to be. But he never makes an exception for the one character that matters, except for that in that one Alan Moore comic.
Yeah, because that's meant to be the end of that story.
It's meant to be the end of Batman, but of course it's never going to be the end of Batman, because Batman's going to be Batman. We need to sell money. Yeah. We need to sell money. Sell comics for money.
It's the end of Batman in that story.
No,
because
Alan Moore intended the Killing Joke to be the end of Batman. As in, Batman would just not be Batman no more. We continue with new characters. However, no one's going to do that because Batman sells more copies than anything apart from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, digression aside, the episode ends very weirdly because we see the core fuck off. So we know, as viewers know the core is alive. And then we head back to Amphibia, everything's well. Oh, the giant red moon is crashing to the planet, and there's no real suspense because us as viewers know immediately it's the core being bullshit.
Yeah, this is the last episode. This is how it's going to end. We got to defeat this. This is the last hurdle to jump over. And yeah, we knew it was a victory lap. We knew it was the last episode. And yeah, they do get the cool super power-ups though.
Yeah, before that, we're on the hardest thing now. And I'll just say this here and now. I think the hardest thing should have just been the epilogue. I don't think they needed to have this. I mean, they kind of did because they needed to do the thing with Anne and the sacrifice and talking to God. But, you didn't need the conflict.
Yeah, like, I think the only benefit of this was they split the conflict up between 2 episodes and 2 weeks. So you're not just got a cooldown episode. It's a cooldown episode with a high, not so much high stakes, but a high energy send-off for the 3 girls.
Yeah.
So they get there. Everyone gets a super mode.
Yep. Okay. I need to say it. That all in was anime as fuck. And when they got their superpowers and started doing stuff, it was anime as fuck. And I love that Marcy called it out.
Yeah. She goes, yeah, this is anime as fuck. I'm gonna roll a d20.
Yeah. Marcy is the type of nerd we would hang out with.
Yeah. And yeah, they've all got their own individual fighting styles. I really like Sasha's, and every time she does something cool, a phoenix just shows up.
Yeah. Is that symbolic?
Yep.
Yeah, and it took a long-ass time, but Andreas, as we think it's his final act, but we know it's not, he finally does a proper face turn, and even Grime, who has had his own face turn way earlier, goes, "What?"
Yeah. Like, I think Grime in particular, having undergone a face turn and knows what it's like, is probably really annoyed that he's not just done this earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andreas, he sends his entire military, which is now under only his control now that he is free from the core after having crushed his little crown, to help send the moon back to space.
Yeah, but unfortunately it's not enough.
No.
Because as we learned before the final conflict, Mother Olm says, hey, if things are too dire, you can totally kill yourself and just win.
Yeah, and the way that works is all you have to do is ask.
Yeah. Did not expect that to be quite so literal.
No. But the way that it was framed, it tugged at the heartstrings more than, like, trying to come up with a vague answer to a vague hint.
Yeah, sure. No, I get you. I'm just saying it was funny, but on the nose. And yeah, she orders her friends to go back to Earth, not Earth, Amphibia, because she doesn't know what this is going to do.
Yeah, go back to the surface, leave me your gems, I'm going to do a thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not good enough for Sprig.
It's basically not good enough for Sasha either. She just goes, don't you do anything stupid, Boon Choi, or something.
I more mean because Sprig fucking hijacks a robot to go up into space and help her.
Yeah.
He doesn't really do much, but he does bring her back down after she is spent. And as she's getting Thanos dusted, yeah, everyone has a cry.
Yeah, and I love the resolution of that afterwards, though. But we'll get to it after the God bit.
Yeah,
there's a confrontation with God, who is voiced by Ruby from Steven Universe.
Yeah. This was weird.
Yeah, she starts out as a late 90s Mac and starts, like, sending instant messages with smiley faces in it.
Yeah. There's a point where I'll call them God because I don't really know if they get a name, and if they do, it's more complicated than God. But they're like the Guardian of the Multiverse or some shit.
I think it is actually Guardian of the Multiverse. Like, they specifically don't call it God because doing so is, taboo.
Yeah, but I'm an atheist, dude, Like, it's just easier to say God instead of, God or Allah or insert fucking faith thing here. But yeah, God basically reveals that just literally a second before Anne perished, she made an exact copy, and that's who she's speaking to. And then we quote to Anne immediately going, boy, that brings up some existential nightmare questions.
Yeah.
And I hand on heart, I would not be able to cope with that knowledge.
Yeah, like, the only way that you could really get over it is if God just goes, yeah, the soul that's in it is the one that died, and therefore you're not two people,
That wouldn't help me.
Okay.
Nah, I'd break, is what I'm saying. So kudos to Anne for somehow being able to compartmentalize that. Oh, yeah. Also being told she has 78 years.
Yeah.
That would be even worse.
Yeah, she's going to die when she's like 92.
Which is pretty good innings, don't get me wrong, but...
Oh, yeah.
Being told well, it's not exact, I suppose, but like being given a very accurate assessment as to how many years you have left on the planet. No!
Like, they could have glossed over it and said, hey, what's a century or so? But no, she gave her an exact number.
But like, even as she's told, she's being flung back into basically life, and she's just like, wait, what are you saying? I'm only gonna live for 78 years?
Yeah, and then the next bit, she's just like, hey y'all.
Oh, I did love the fucking hot pop going, not now, Anne, we're crying because Anne.
Exactly. And that's very definitely a hot pop thing of, yeah, not now, Anne.
And then I think it's Sprig who realises first, right?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, don't worry. When Anne does eventually die in 78 years, she is going to become the next god.
Yeah, almost certainly, yeah.
So that's something.
The only way that it's not going to be Anne is if it's actually the Triumvirate.
Oh, I suspect that if Anne takes over, she is going to do something like that.
Yeah.
Also, fucking good kudos bringing that word out.
What, the Triumvirate?
Yeah, it's not used very often.
No.
Because, who the fuck has 3 rulers in modern day? No one.
No.
Like, I had to look up that word once, and the last time it was used was in, like, fucking, I think, Rome.
Yeah.
Also, the reason I looked it up is because they released that Triumvirate box set for 40k. And I was like, what the fuck is Triumvirate? And I should have guessed, considering there was 3 models, but whatever.
Yeah, they use old shit like that in nerd fiction a lot, so...
Yeah, I get you. Anyway, I'm just saying, good job. Everyone's happy because Anne's alive. She gets 3 shards of the crystal, and Marcy very quickly deduces that, oh, yes, we can get a portal to home, but it's probably going to be one way, and we don't know how long it'll last.
Yeah, not only they don't know how long it will last, they also don't know how long the crystal crystal shards will last. Like, the crystal shards are already on a timer. They're basically saying you've got moments to say goodbye, not days.
No, I don't think that's true. I don't think the implication was they only have they have to use them now or they're gone. I think once they are activated, that's when the timer starts and they're unsure of.
Sure, fair enough.
Because it's been at least an afternoon before they actually bugger off.
And they say some heartfelt goodbyes. The one that really made me smile was telling Polly that she's going to take over the world someday, and Polly just going, yeah, without you holding me back from doing stupid stuff, I definitely will.
It was literally, I think the exact wording was, without you as a moral compass.
Yeah, a moral chain, yeah.
It's one of those where I like all of the goodbyes were great. I actually cheered when Olivia and Yunnan did their goodbye, because it's just like, you made us realise certain things, and then they sort of held hands, and I was like, what? Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
I feel like if you want to do something like that, or rather I should say, because of how we've seen how Disney reacted to the Owl House, and I gotta be honest with you, Lou's having a relationship with Amity, it's not a big fucking deal in the show, even, you know? It's just a thing that is it's not the point of the show, it's just a thing that happens in the show.
Yeah, it's one of many things that happens.
So what we've learned is...
do it in the finale.
If you want to do the big gay, you have to do it, one, do it in the finale, and two, do it subtly, otherwise Disney will crack down, because they are not gay friendly. Don't believe their lies when it's June.
So you've got to... Doing it in the finale is like a staple thing these days. Like, they did it in Adventure Time.
Oh, what, with PB and Marceline?
Yeah, Marceline, yeah.
Even though they were gay since like season 3.
There's entire episodes dedicated to showing it, but not telling.
The vampire fucking shit was just PB and Marceline being gay and sending Finn and Jake off to do quests. Yeah. Which I'm all for, because it's a trope I love, and that is, one is cuddly and fluffy, one is edgelord emo. They are the perfect couple.
Yeah.
That's even what Luz and Amity are, although Amity's getting better.
True. Like, she's dyed her hair to be...
Yeah, Amity dyed her hair because, well, rebellion.
Yeah, partially rebellion, but also it speaks to the viewer as I'm now cuter and fluffier. And
no, she ain't.
And going around... Well, I mean, she kind of is.
No. But yeah, Yunnan and Olivia are the big gay, and I'm all for that. And they thank Marcy for... I don't know, is it kind of implied that sort of thing's frowned upon in Amphibia, and Marcy is the revelation that, no, it's fine, or what? It's a bit ambiguous.
I don't think it actually is stigmatized at all. It's just that...
It's just the wording of them saying, oh, you made things clear for us, is a bit odd, unless the implication is, oh, she realised that they were sweet on each other and kind of pushed them, but we never see that, so it's hard.
Well, it might be a case of that they both were engrossed in work before that.
Maybe. I'd rather prefer that than Amphibia being some bigot world.
Yeah, I really did see it as engrossed in work, because Yunnan definitely just does define herself by her accomplishments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no shit.
As a person. Yeah. And that's another good closing line of Yunnan doing her spiel, and Olivia saying, "We know, dear."
Oh, it's so sweet. And also Yunnan in a suit.
Yeah,
sorry,
and that's in the time skip bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's after the time skip. Sorry, it's not a suit. It's actually a military dress uniform.
Yes.
Which, they do things to me. Anyway, next up, Andreas being sullen and depressed behind the pair and looking off to the sunset, only to just slightly tilt his head and wish Marcy luck. Very sweet.
Yeah. That's the Keith David we came to see.
Yeah. Keith David is very talented.
Yes, he is. Even though he does the same voice for every character that he does, like, you can put so much different emotion into it, and that's perfect for every character that he does as well.
Yeah. The farewell that got me the most, because it was so funny, was Grime and Sasha, because they're both being super military and official about it, and they both crack up at the same time.
Yeah, it lasts about 3 seconds of, like, a held salute, and then they're both, like, dual waterfall tears.
Yeah, and they go in for the hug, and fight me, Grime is the best gay uncle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And he'll send his best regards to Braddock, and I forget the other guy's name still. And Grime says, "I will as soon as the giant hole in my heart is healed."
Doesn't Sasha also say he needs to find them because they've been MIA for like a year now?
Yeah.
But yeah, We get the Plantars farewell, and we have to end it on a Spran against the world.
Yeah, it's super Spran against the world, and that's the last they see of each other before the time skip.
I wasn't expecting the time skip, but I'm so goddamn glad it happened. Oh, sorry, I was hoping for a time skip epilogue, because they're the best.
Yeah, like, it's a real epilogue. It lets you see a where are they now of characters with a little bit of melancholy and hope at the same time.
Yeah. So many, everything is good in this epilogue.
Yes.
There is no bad.
Yes.
Even though we start on Andreas, who is still alive 10 years later.
Well, he's been alive for thousands already. Like,
I know, but he got fucked up in that final battle.
Yeah, but, like, now that he's no longer super evil, he's got Polly to work on him.
I guess. Anyway, I do appreciate that 10 years have passed and he's just doing what he can to help.
Yeah, he's being a gardener grandpa.
He also seems to be in self-imposed exile.
Maybe so.
Well, there's no one with him, and he doesn't report to anyone. He just seems to be going out to the wastes and planting seeds.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's my interpretation. I'd love to hear yours if you've got a different one.
Like, I didn't read too much into it other than the fact that, he's being a cool gardener grandpa.
Okay, Rick, we're doing a podcast. We need to read too much into things.
Now, here's the thing. It didn't click with me where he was in the world.
Well, literally 2 seconds beforehand, we saw wasteland morph into grass, so I assume with him sowing seeds in his shot before looking off into the sky, I assumed the implication was that's what he's been doing for 10 years, is going to places that have been desolated and revitalising them.
It could have been that, but specifically that wasteland is where all the toad mech factories are. So, and then they turn into, like, Teletubby houses.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So, like, grass is growing over the mounds, but they also still show the toad face.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cute little visual cue, in my eyes at least.
Yeah.
So
I still like to think that it's because Andreas is going out sowing seeds.
Okay.
I like to think that he is doing his best to have a face turn.
I also like the idea that these factories are becoming affordable housing.
That'd take a lot more effort, because they got to get rid of a lot of machinery.
Well, the machinery without commands to be evil can just have a command to just dispose of itself, you know?
Well, you assume that they got programmed that way. Rick, you know how programs work. You usually have one.
Yeah. If evil, then go to one.
I don't think they thought that far ahead because, why would you ever decommission these?
True.
Because when they were made, Newtopia/Amphibia was invading other worlds for resources, and that was it.
Yeah, they were doing it all the time. And it's, well, obviously for the fact that they have some of it on Earth means that they invaded Earth at one point, or at least scouted it.
We know that explicitly. In the flashback, they were going to invade Earth, destroy it to take all its resources, but that's the one that got stopped by Leaf.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact. That's not debatable.
Yeah, because Leaf that's where she sent the music box. All that. I didn't read the thing at the end of the credits in amphibian language.
No, I don't fucking know what they say. If you really care, go on the subreddit or just Google it, and I'm sure somewhere it says this is what it says, but I guarantee it probably says the end.
Yeah, almost certainly. But generally, the other characters that have had time skips, the ones that really matter, Polly is now a frog, and she looks really cool.
Yeah, she looks like Sprig.
Yep.
And Toggle. Is his name Toggle? Togi?
Loggle.
Toggle, I think, is the fucking thing from Goblin Labyrinth. Fuck, my brain's melting because we've been talking for 2.5 hours. But
Loggle has skipped everything day and has gone back to being scrawny again.
Okay, I super related with his sentence, though, because he said, I shouldn't have had that cheat day, and I cannot tell you, like, having a cheat day and then forgetting that it was just a cheat day is one of the killers for diets.
Yep. But then we do see, like, Hero Sprig and Hero Ivy.
Yeah, specifically, Ivy has discovered that there are islands off to the west.
Yeah, there are completely undiscovered continents, and do you want to be first to set foot there? And there's only one answer to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And listen, I said earlier on I'd love to see a spin-off of Mr. X doing Mr. X things. This looks like a proper sequel hook.
Yeah, totally. But just as easily, it's a fling a light into the future kind of tag, you know what I mean? Like, it's both a sequel hook and letting the viewer imagine the future, you know?
We already know that Matt Braley is super about letting fan fictions live.
Yes.
So again, like, if no official sequel, then it's something for those people to write about if they want to.
Yeah, plus he was always down for, like, a beginning, a middle, and an end. He saw the Amphibia Pit as a 3-part story, and that's the 3 seasons.
Yeah, I respect anyone who has a vision and ends it.
Yeah, Gravity Falls is another one that had the same idea of there was only ever meant to be that much of love Gravity Falls.
I need to watch that at some point.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
But yeah,
I've seen like the first couple of episodes and that's it.
I've seen the memes.
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of them.
Oh boy, this is worthless. And finally, that's after all these years, I have them all, which I think is a spoiler.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, we've got that. We've got Hot Pop and his missus are finally together, and they're just enjoying retirement thanks to his California avocados.
Yeah. He's harvested some avocado seeds from Earth and is now the number one specialist in California avocados.
Yeah. We see everyone basically. We see that adorable scene of Yunnan going, maybe my enemies have found me from blah 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 blah. You could recite it from memory as we learnt, but we're not doing that again. And we just have Olivia going, yes, we know, dear. And it's so perfect and adorable, and I love it.
And the fact that Yunnan stops as well, it shows that they have this nice little bit of back and forth respect, you know?
Yeah. And as we learn, everyone is assembling for the unveiling of the new statue. We learn that Toadie's the new mayor, thanks to the old mayor knowing who to bribe.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
And he's now his Toadie.
Yeah, except he doesn't act like it, does he? Not quite to the level that Toadie did.
Nah, he's more of a benevolent grandpa, you know?
Sort of. It's really odd because I've never liked the mayor. Even but you have to acknowledge that even though he is a greedy corporate piece of shit, he is nowhere near as bad as real life politicians because he still cares about his constituents.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Absolutely.
That word.
Yeah, his constituents. So when the chips are down and he has to actually do his job, he normally does a pretty good job, apart from when he thinks there's going to be no consequences for not doing the job and taking the money.
Yeah, like the big one we see is at the end of season 1 where he helps the frogs escape from the toads.
Yes, despite being a toad himself.
It's still unclear because he's very small for a toad, but he's clearly bigger than a frog by miles.
Yeah, like that chin is what says toad to me. So
yeah, but it might just be a bullfrog.
Oh, that could be a cool one actually. Yeah,
we know different species of frogs have different characteristics, like the cannibal ones.
Yeah. Yeah, the ones that get the Hulk mode.
Yeah. But yeah, as we learn, all the characters of note are basically arriving in Wartwood to see an unveiling of their statue to Anne, and we see Grime being side-hugged by his sister, and Grime is doing just okay with one arm, so thank fuck.
Yep.
Which is a bit of a shout-out to just frog biology in general, really.
Yeah. And the thing that kind of sucks for toads is that now that they're in a time of peace, their number one specialty that they've been basing their entire culture around, they no longer have a need for it.
Incorrect, because they still live on a death world.
Well, true. Okay, fair enough.
Like, I get where you're coming from in that they can't bully the other races anymore, the sentient ones, but they're still going to be needed for their muscle.
Sure. But then again, like a lot of the predator races have now been tamed to a certain degree, like the poodle, the cat moths, for instance.
Cool. We've got the cat moths, which were rare anyway.
They did do the herons, but we don't like that.
They did that to 2 herons specifically, and that was it.
Yep.
Cool. So cat moths, which weren't really a big deal anyway, except for when they appeared, because they were rare, and the herons, which 2 specific herons got dealt with, which means there's still a fuck ton of things that will just kill things.
Sure. Fair enough. Okay, I get you. I feel that.
Plus, if they ever want to settle anywhere else, like the islands out west, where Spriggs is going to go on an adventure to, they're going to need an army just to clear a space.
Yeah, you're going to need your colonist muscle.
Yeah.
And number one way to get funding for an expedition is to promise a colony.
Don't know if that's how that's going to work in the new Amphibia, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the human farewell, the ending.
Yeah, the human farewell is very definitely 10 years later.
They explicitly stated.
And it starts with Sasha picking up Marcy from the airport. Marcy dropping her phone. She's not become any less clumsy.
Yeah.
Sasha has become a psychological degree holder and is now starting to work with kids to work through their mental trauma.
And then immediately gets road rage.
Yep.
We learn that even though Marcy moved, they all stayed in contact because the beauty of living in today's day and age is someone moving away doesn't mean as much as it used to.
Yeah. The one that actually is surprising is that Anne and Sasha actually grew further apart over time just naturally, which is, it's normal and it's natural, but it was surprising because they still lived close to each other.
Well, you're saying, yeah, I guess. But it's one of those where they explicitly say they didn't fall apart, they didn't fall out, they had different interests, so their friend groups diverged.
Yeah, just the time between meetings just tended to drift further and further apart. Not the people, just the time between meetings.
Yeah. Also, we don't know how far apart Sasha's parents lived from one another.
No,
it could have been that one parent lived pretty close to the Boonchoys, but the other one lived on the other side of town, or further.
Yeah.
You know?
Wouldn't it be funny if they just lived across the street from each other and just kept hurling rocks and abuse?
No, that would be awful.
I know. Which is why I'm laughing at it, out of nervousness.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, Marcy has a good one, because she clearly meets new people when she moved away. People probably with more with her interests, but still got to keep in touch with Anne and Sasha. And I think it's because I'm a soppy bollocks, but I felt really happy when Anne opened up an Amphibia in the as soon as they said they were going to meet her at the aquarium. I'm like, I know exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
And when it's like the reveal at the end that her little amphibian part of the aquarium is called Amphibia, and it's like, welcome to Amphibia. And when we see her, she's holding a little frog that is clearly identical to Sprig, and then when she calls it Sprig, it's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah. I wonder which number Sprig that is.
Oh, fuck. I don't know. Frogs live a while.
Yeah, fair enough.
Although that one's clearly a juvenile, so
yeah, it's incredibly small.
Actually, it might not be a juvenile because fucking tree frogs aren't big.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. Yeah, they're going to see Anne to celebrate her birthday. We know that she's 23 now, and what can I say? It felt like a very good ending. I was smiling at the end.
Yeah, and they both got her a present. I was kind of expecting one of the presents just to be a handmade copy of the music box.
That would be. I don't know if that would be a good gift. You know?
Yeah, but like not a real one, but this is a handmade thing that's just, oh yeah, remember that thing that we did, as if you could ever forget.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Just as an aside, I did put this in my notes as well. When I went to college, I did animal care.
Yes.
My aim in animal care was to use that degree as a springboard to get into herpology, which is what Anne is. Herpology isn't actually the study of amphibians; it's the study of reptiles.
Yeah, so
amphibians sort of come under the branch, you know.
Yeah, the big one in that is snakes, because they're the ones that people tend to encounter the most and get venomed by the most.
Yeah, I wanted to go into the care of snakes. However, I did an apprenticeship at a pet shop that specialised in reptiles, and quickly realised that doesn't matter how small the snake is, if it is aggressive, I don't like dealing with them.
Okay.
I'm perfectly fine with docile snakes. I got into this weird situation where, sorry, I'm going to go on a story, but fuck it, we're already long in the tooth, so it don't matter. I wouldn't feed the baby snakes because the baby snakes were dumb. They could not tell the difference between a hand and food. But on the flip side, the adult snakes, which I had to take out of the enclosure and put in separate feeding boxes so they wouldn't accidentally eat each other while eating, I just took them out, put them in the boxes, put their food in, and they'd eat, and it'd be a-okay. And it got to this weird stage where my boss at the time was like, okay, I'll go fetch the big snakes out of their enclosure and put them in their feeding boxes so you can feed them. I went, I've already done that. And he was like, you don't like the baby snakes. I'm like, I don't like the baby snakes because they try to bite me.
Yeah, they don't know where the worm ends and the finger begins.
Nice, but okay.
Well, fair enough, yeah. They're bigger than I was expecting then.
I don't think you ever feed worms to snakes.
Okay.
Like, alright, it's not a mouse, it's a pinky, but it's still a mouse.
Yeah, a little like thumbnail size little pinky.
Yeah, and you only feed them like once a week sometimes, because that's a big meal for a baby snake.
Yeah, it is.
But anyway, yeah, digression aside, it's cool because all three of them have got very
they've got separate interests, separate careers, and obviously separate lives, and yet they're still good enough friends to have these reunions.
Which I think again is a great message to give to the target audience of young teenagers / young adults, because hey, if you're friends with people, it's okay.
Yeah, the world is big, you're gonna be in it somewhere, and it's okay to not be right next to your friend all the time. It just makes reunions all the sweeter.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about, or shall we wind down?
I think we can go straight into the final three, I think, from this. So, from Amphibia, Season 3, do you have a favourite moment?
Ending shot.
Yeah.
Before the credits, where you've got all three friends being reunited and just being happy for each other. It gives me the fuzzy. What about you? Favourite moment?
I'm torn between interrupting General Yunnan with We Know a Dear and just the whole of that whole time skip for the frogs.
It's one of those where it's a bit cheaty to give it to the whole, like even half the epilogue, because that's a whole solid 5 minutes.
Yeah, to give it to that whole little sketch is probably a bit cheaty, because I really liked the the Plantars aged up designs. So yeah, it's probably going to have to laser focus in on We Know Dear.
Cute. Yeah, very cute. Can't argue.
But yeah, we can't always talk about the best stuff. Sometimes we have to talk about the stuff that wasn't quite so fantastic. So do you have a weakest link?
It was very difficult because this show is... no show is perfect, but this is pretty darn close. So it's a great cartoon, and I'd recommend it for anyone. And the best thing is, it's suitable for all ages, except for that one episode where they put a warning.
Yes.
But yeah, the weakest link goes to, and I already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again because I need to give it to something. And very quickly, brushing off the potential death of Marcy is very odd and somewhat out of character. But it's also kind of believable from a certain point of view that her not wanting to think about it is therefore, so she just brushes it aside and pretends it's fine. Don't worry about it.
And that is in her character.
It is. It's just, it's also in her character to be super worried about something, you know?
Yeah. It's one of those, but so much happened in the episode before that I can kind of understand a brain kind of shutting down and brushing things under the rug.
Yeah, I just think there should have been more time than none at all on Anne just being like, oh shit, Marcy just got stabbed and I might never see her again.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough.
But yeah, like I said, it was very tough because Amphibia is a good show, so finding a weak link, bit tricky. So now it's your turn, Rick. What's your weakest link?
Again, difficult to pick one because there basically aren't very many. We said a few things about there being some less memorable episodes, but you also kind of need them to stop there being whiplash after whiplash.
I mean, you do need them because, like, as much as I glossed over the cat moth getting recruited and Titonio, whatever you want to call him, like, if those episodes didn't happen, if they just suddenly showed up in the episode where it was important, it'd be weird.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those things where you could have had certain things of those be the B plot to, well, the A and B plot to each other, for instance.
You can't, because bear in mind each and quote-unquote episode is only 10 minutes. You can't have A and B plots.
Yeah, fair enough. But it also applies to some of the human world stuff as well. Like, there were some bits that weren't quite as memorable. Like, Hot Pot becoming a actor wasn't quite as memorable as the Mr. X stuff, for instance.
Yeah, but they needed it. That was part of the Mr. X stuff.
Yeah, true.
And without that plot point, they wouldn't have been able to do the breakout in episode 10.
So what you have demonstrated is exactly what I wanted, that any criticism I have can be very easily combated by logic. Yeah. And therefore, I don't really have a weakest link.
Well, it's the thing, isn't it? Because, like, you can't argue for things getting cut, because as we just established, you say X, and it's just like, well, X has to be shown, otherwise Y wouldn't make sense when that happens.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think there's any technical aspect of the show you can criticize. Sound design's great, voice acting's class, art style's awesome, direction, not a flaw.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, my weakest link is refuted. And therefore, we're going to get into our final one of who or what is your MVP.
I'm going to cheat, Rick.
Go on then.
Matt Braley.
I'll accept that, 100%.
Whenever you go for the creator of a thing / producer, I forget what his official title is. It's like you gotta. It's cheating, you know, because you're basically going, everyone was great because this person made the thing and he made all the right and all the decisions were made correctly, so therefore they get it, you know. But it's like it would be unfair to pick Anne because then you're ignoring all the characters. It would be unfair to pick a specific voice actor because no voice actor did poorly.
Yeah, true.
And the world, it's so beautifully fleshed out. It's the culmination of 3 seasons. You want the world to be fleshed out, and they did it well. They called back to everything in this final season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apart from like fake Grunkle Stan, but that was kind of just a fun throwaway episode anyway. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it was one and done.
But yes, Rick, I cheated. I don't care. Are you going to cheat? Let's find out. Who's your MVP?
I'm going to say the Wartwoodians, specifically the Wartwood inhabitants. Inhabitants in the latter half of the season, where they were the backbone of the Resistance. And as much as adding any part to the Resistance was both appreciated and needed, there needed to be a skeleton for it to be added to. They showed incredible resilience and character growth, and I think they really did tip the balance.
They didn't tip the balance, they were the scale.
Yeah. I like that one. But yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you like it, because it don't make no sense, but, you know.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. But yeah, so my MVP is going to the inhabitants of Wartwood. But yeah, that's about it from me and Evan. If you liked the retrospective today, you have the comment section down on YouTube, and if you're listening to us on one of the audio platforms, you can send us an email. Where would you send this to?
Nonsense review. I'm tired. nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com. Once again, that is nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
And as always, if you made it this far, you are our favourite people. And it's going to be a goodbye from me.
And boy, oh boy, nearly 3 hours. This is probably the longest podcast we've ever recorded. Granted, it will show up shorter than that because editing wizardry, but, you know, thanks for sticking with us. We're glad we got to watch Amphibia. We're sad that it's over, and we're kind of looking forward to see if anything else sort of spins off from it, whether it be a spin-off because of something interesting earlier on, or a straight-up sequel. But the only way we can get that is if everybody watches this once it's released in full on Disney+. So
yes, absolutely.
We live in England, so we're being a bit filthy about things, because we don't have access to certain things. However, as soon as it becomes available on Disney+, wherever, make sure you watch it, because it's the only way to let Disney know that we as fans like this content and want more. And I didn't pull that out my arse. I'm basically parroting something Matt Braley said on Twitter. Yeah,
it's going to be very, very, very much worth a rewatch whenever the time comes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, when it's out on Disney+, do the creators a favour and watch it. Let Disney know what you want to see more of. And again, thanks for watching / listening, and join us next week for more Retro.
Bye!